And now another no-brainer money-saving tip from Progressive.
Marcus, what happened?
I was changing my oil and I spilled some on the floor.
Oh, well, use these $50 bills to wipe it up.
Perfect. Got any more?
Yeah, take a couple hundred.
Stop. Instead of using money, use an old rag. And here's a better tip from Progressive on how not to waste money. Don't pay too much for car insurance. Drivers who switch and save could save hundreds. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
In a world where Carolina Panthers fans have an insatiable thirst for Panthers news and opinions, only one podcast roars ferociously. It's the C3 Panthers Podcast.
Well, hey there, Panther fans. Hey, it's Tuesday night. Hold on, let me take a little sip. Oh, it's the C3 Panthers podcast, and training camp is right around the corner. We've got some great stuff for you tonight on the longest running Panthers podcast on the intranet, the C3 Panthers podcast, live every Tuesday night, 9 p.m. into the wee hours of Wednesday morning. We've got some fantastic content about the upcoming training camp. It's going to be record scorching hot. At least the world is on fire right now, and we're heading to the fires of the South Carolina hell of Spartanburg next week. We'll be at Monster Subs next Thursday, and that training camp from Wednesday through Sunday. Guys, we've got Brian Burns turning down the bag, or maybe just being patient for the market to set itself to get him the compensation that he needs. We've got a Kim Aquanu, Cade Mays out there studying among some of the best, hopefully not getting bullied by one of the best bullies in the world, and Richard Incognito. And did I mention that running backs are big mad right now? That's the talk of the town. And we want to hear from you guys on whatever you want to talk about with the Carolina Panthers. My name's Tony Dunn. The number's 252-228-5098. And I'm always rocking with my wheelman, Cody Lashney. How you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, you know I'm doing great because it's a Tuesday night, and there's nowhere I'd rather be than chilling with my boys talking Carolina Panthers, man. We have a big-time show tonight. You already alluded to some of it. Might we be on the precipice of a running back strike? I don't know. It sure seems like a lot of running backs are upset right now. We're going to do a little bit of a training camp primer, talk about some battles that we're expecting to see. And how about Madden continuing to disrespect the Carolina Panthers every time they rank Panthers players? Bro, it is straight up disrespectful. But you know we're going to talk about it with the best damn Panther fans in all of YouTube. You already know them and love them. It's Adam Sanders, my man Anthony Picarello. What's up, Anthony? The brand ambassador, D's Ill Skills, Charlotte Sports One, Eric, Just Don't Care, Muscles Marinara. We'll be seeing you soon, brother. My paisan, Sean Hume, Smells Like Blue, The Real AP, Tim Estes, Zach Baker, and the one, the only Panther Pickle. Tony Dunn, ain't nothing to it but to do it, brother. Let's roll.
Smash the thumbs up button, subscribe, check us out on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, wherever you get your podcast. Be sure to write us a review and help us grow. We're going to be in Spartanburg for training camp next week, live, probably an hour or so after camp on Thursday, the 27th, I believe is the date. I continue to struggle with numbers at Monster Subs, hanging out with my paisan, Muscles Marinara, who was in the chat. We're going to be doing a live podcast there. We've got some great surprises for you, some cool gifts potentially to give away, and some fun to be had. We're here with Greg, the Bat Daddy, the Stat Daddy. How are you doing, my friend?
Tony Dunn, the sky is falling. The world is going crazy, and this is the only place that I feel safe and comfortable right now is right here in my chair at the C3 Panthers podcast on Tuesday and on Rumble. We got 4 people in the chat room right now on Rumble, so if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go check it out. It's another form of another way to check us out. So hit the Rumble button if you're in there, hit the thumbs up if you're in YouTube, and let's talk some Panthers football.
Rumble.
CK, the voice that makes them moist, is in the house. We're heading to Spartanburg. I know you're excited. Boy, we're going to be bunk mates. We're going to be having a blast. We're going to be hanging out with Muscles Marinara. Are you ready for the heat?
Dude, I am. I'm trying to prepare myself as much as I possibly can, but I have a feeling based on the things that I've heard, it's not going to be enough. So we're going to see. I have this, I bought this little neck fan here, right? I got this little neck fan, right? I went out golfing with it. It just blows hot air on you.
Oh.
So like, it's better than nothing, but it certainly is not like what I feel like would be best if there was like a tank and it did a mister. But the problem with that mister is by the time you were done with your time in Spartanburg, you would be drenched. So it is what it is.
CK,
yeah,
we have those exact same fans in the mail trucks. That's the AC in the mail trucks. I'll give you a hint. Take a bottle of water that's frozen, rubber band, wrap it in a paper towel, and rubber band it to the front. Then you've got homemade AC.
Oh snap! All right.
Bottles. Look, I tell you this is I saw something in the news that it was like record-setting heat across America right now. Death Valley, I read, was the hottest place on earth, which is insane.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that the hottest place on earth was in America.
The highest recorded temperature in America is 130, and the other day it was 128. So they're saying it's going to break the record this year.
Let's add one more thing to this crazy summer that it was. We didn't have much of a spring. It just went fast. I mean, or actually we had it just went immediately. It was very mild for a while, and then all of a sudden it just went straight to hell.
There was no warning.
Yeah. When it comes to this, though, is we've had a remarkably wet month or two. It has rained and rained and rained. And while that rain brings a respite momentarily, it just turns into humidity. One of my buddies today, he's from St. Louis, and he was like, he goes, why? What's all this fog looking mess? He thought it was smog. I was like, bro, that shit is humidity, dude. That's just moisture.
Dude,
it is
outside of my
raining
house
from the ground up.
Dude, you can look outside of my house and look above the buildings and see the haze. There's been weather alerts about the air quality, dude.
It's in here.
Dude, it's crazy, man.
All right. Fun stuff to talk about. The number's 252-228-5098. That's 252-228-5098. We've got some fun things to talk about when it comes to Brian Burns potentially being overvalued. Wait, hold your horses, folks. Wait for the story. It's the time of the year where people write stories that gets clicks, and they got me. And you know what? I'm passing the clicks forward. It's not what you think. It's a compliment. He's overvalued in a complimentary way. We've got Joe Person writing about every single player, even the ones that never even heard of.
Right. Yeah.
Never even heard of these guys. We've got running backs colluding throughout the league, and collusion for today's kids is just saying, we're going to get up and be upset together on the internet tomorrow. So they all locked arms and whined today. And it turns out that people don't understand math.
No,
they don't understand math.
Oh,
folks.
dude,
This is insane.
I know.
Najee Harris, you might be a great running back. Alabama, we got to work on averages, statistics, and the meaning and value of numbers going forward. We've got that, and training camp preview. Also, we're going to do a Panthers All-Pro team tonight, hopefully, if we can get to it, and news around the league. Cody, let's jump into the show.
Let's do it. And real quick, shout out to our guy, C-Dog 1983 TV. Says, hit the like button. It's free. And rest in peace to Uncle Ray, man. Rest in peace. We definitely appreciate you guys. Let's jump into this show, man. We are preparing for the 2023 Panthers training camp. It is right around the corner. We're getting pumped. A lot of you are going to meet us there in person when we go. First off, we have to continue to talk a little bit of news that actually happened last week, talking about Muhsin Muhammad made it into the Hall of Fame. or the Hall of Honor.
Honor. Yeah.
Through talent, hard work, and a lucky pair of cleats. Talk about.
I want to play the video, but I'm also concerned
that
the music, whatever it is, it doesn't sound like monetized music, but you never know with the internet today. Just go
the Peppers one.
But they didn't have music to it, did they?
I mean, they had music. Again, I don't know if it was
right. We'll see. We'll see. I mean, might as well give it a shot, I guess. If you want us to play the video, consider buying a C3 mug. Or hitting a super chat or becoming a C3 super fan for $1.99 so we can say screw those YouTube advertisements and just get straight to the point. Very heartfelt video. God bless you, Gesundheit.
Thank you.
Heartfelt video. It's 2.5 minutes. You can find it all on Carolina Panthers Twitter. I liked it a lot because this is like it gives you some insight into some of the things that these guys were thinking about. Great story about superstition. And Masim Muhammad's kids painting his cleats. He remembers the 85-yard touchdown and silencing the crowd in Philadelphia. Boy, there was that 2003 season, arguably, while 2015 might have been the most fun season, the 03 season is, to me, the most iconic in a way. Is like we have the Moose 85-yard touchdown. We've got the Steve Smith overtime touchdown against the Rams to send us to the NFC Championship. We've got the Deshaun Foster run. If you need to feel better about your life, just go watch Deshaun Foster run through 27, the whole entire Philadelphia Eagles team. Oh, it's so great. I YouTube it just to feel better. Is this the video? Is this Masim? Let's watch it.
Yeah.
Put him in here. I will let you take it from here.
Hey, how you doing?
No, this is the Pat one.
Better in person or on the Zoom?
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's camera tricks, man. Usually it blurs
No.
out.
That's what I said. Ostensibly, I want to talk to you about the pick and getting ready for the draft. I guess you were second round pick. Is that right?
I was number 43, second round pick. So quite the experience, as I reflect on it. But
Were you ready for it when you came in the building? Were you ready for the experience?
Oh no, I wasn't.
I actually want to talk to you about something else besides just that. We'd like to induct you into the Panthers Hall of Honor.
What?
Your name up in the stadium forever and ever and ever.
Man, are you serious?
Yes, I'm dead serious.
Oh, I
man.
just got chills.
This is yes.
Thank you so much. I don't even know what to say. I'm just Nicole. I'm shocked. I'm sitting here with tears in my eyes, thinking about
I know your career. A couple of times Pro Bowl. You've been a big part of the different teams here. A big part of when we went to one of the Super Bowls and. Look, and I got to know you a little bit as a man, so I'm really happy to have you in here and happy to have you represented on the bowl up there for as long as this building stands and beyond.
Man, I don't know what to say, man. You caught me off. Gosh, thank you so much, Dave, Nicole. You guys are awesome. I don't know what to say. This is a special moment for me and my family. And when this organization started, back in '95, and we went in that stadium the first year in '96, it was a special year. It was special for the fans. It was special for the players. It was special for everyone. And I think we set a foundation for excellence and success. And I know you guys are carrying that at the highest level. And it's been a hell of a ride, Dave. It's been a lot of fun coming out of little small lands in Michigan. Second round pick. Who would have thought it? I was a linebacker and a running back when I started playing football. So, but hey, a lot of dreams can come true if you put hard work.
This wasn't even the video I was talking about.
Wow.
Which one?
No, there's another one they put out today where it's just Moose. It's produced, and he talks about it's just like him, and it's just him talking about his career. He talks about a couple of things. He talks about the 03 season, the touchdown catch. He then goes on to the He holds up the Sports Illustrated cover, and then he talks about the story, which was really cool. He said
I
this.
found it. Do you want me to play it?
Yeah, let's look at this one. This one's great. Actually, before you hit play, though, I do want to mention this. Let's talk about the one we just watched, so we don't double. Last week we talked about Julius Peppers, how much he meant to us individually and personally, particularly me. He's like my Cam Newton. Cody. He is. Julius Peppers is to Tony as Cam Newton is to Cody.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the things is both of these guys are so mild-mannered off the field, but on the field, they play with an attitude that in some ways does even match their personality. Like they are, if you gave me a superhero that like had dual personalities, that's how they both think about this. Peppers goes and remember he whacks the football away from Cam. He gets some attitude, right? He didn't play mild-manneredly. Moose, who is the most kind of level-headed, mild-mannered, mild-spoken guy, he had the awesome between the legs celebration, right? He shushed the crowd, right? He had moments where he showed their personalities on the field. It's almost like they step into maybe a different place, like they become, I don't know, a different person between the gridiron. And I just like getting that peak, right, from like the kind of alpha it takes on the field. And not to say they're not an alpha off the field. It's just like they're not like assholes.
Right.
Do you think that maybe personalities like that, especially in sports, are the kind of people that pin back all this aggression that a lot of people have in their day-to-day life and bottleneck that or focus it into the game? So all the aggression they would normally have during the week or things that they would, any kind of emotions beyond being calm and the kind of collective person they are, they funnel all that into the game and they use all that energy during the game and it makes them kind of a different person. It's almost what I feel like.
Kind of like Luke Kuechly, right?
Yeah.
Nicest guy off the field, on the field.
A maniac.
Psycho.
They compartmentalize that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
Put it over here for Sunday. I'll pull
it
out.
almost, I think, too, something is it has to do. I just watched the Air movie about Jordan, the Nike and Jordan. And
it was a good movie.
There's this moment where Damon is like realizing this dude's special, right? And he's like, he's got something to him. It's like this calm, cool killer. Maybe sometimes that level-headedness like can help them overcome moments that cripple people like me, right? So like I used to be on this bowling team when I worked at this restaurant. We had fun, man. We would do like great. I was actually a decent bowler at times, but like when it mattered and it was like, I got to get this one, I just crumpled under the pressure. It was like, if nobody's watching, I'm bowling strikes.
Right.
And if it doesn't matter,
when it's not for actually anything of real value, it's the same way with golf.
Mm-hmm.
Right. It's like, and maybe it's that psychopathic killer instinct that lets them kind of maybe where things get you almost, if you're trying to think of it in a cinematic way, right? If we were making a movie, like the crowd's going nuts and it's getting quiet in your head. And you're like zeroing in. By the way, did you see CK, did you see Steph Curry drop a fucking hole-in-one?
No.
Dude, fucking Steph Curry on this
that
damn.
guy's the man.
He's a fucking another psycho.
There's nothing he can't do, it seems.
Yeah.
He's
awesome. There's something about being able to control your body in a certain way that like really translate into other sports like golf. Like when you look at professional players that end up going and playing golf, they're rarely mad. They're rarely coming at, like they have a different mentality and they have such a focus on the sport and what they need to do to be successful. Like it's not even a fair playing field, Well,
that's what we got with Bryce Young. That's what we're hoping we got with Bryce Young, right?
And I was about to say, quarterbacks love playing golf.
Yeah,
it's like a known thing, right? There's something about playing the quarterback position that inevitably kind of leads to golf. I imagine it's the same thing when you're a pinpoint accurate shooter like Steph Curry as well. Did y'all want to say anything about Moose, or y'all want me to play this video right
Let's
quick?
play the next one. This is the one I'm a little worried about the music. So if you start getting...
I think I heard what you mean, but I think it'll be fine.
Okay.
And if it doesn't, then
it'll be up on Rumble.
Well,
If you get on YouTube, it'll be up on Rumble.
First one with the $2 says, "LOL, play that video, baby." So,
My man. My name is Musin Muhammad II. I'm a wide receiver, and I played 14 years in the National Football League. As I look at this ball, I remember catching the touchdown. I remember the play, and I had Ty Law on me, and I ran a double move on him, and he was looking in the backfield, and I was so wide open. Jake just kind of heaved the ball at the rafters, and so I kind of caught the ball over my outside shoulder, had a defensive back coming at me. I stiff-armed him and was able to get in the end zone. It's amazing. Records are made to be broken. 85-yard touchdown in the Super Bowl is going to be something hard to beat. That pose was just to silence the crowd right there, right? The best-kept secret. We were going into hostile territory. That pose, that shushing of the crowd was all about the Panthers are for real. It was fitting for the moment. This was an amazing year for me, personally. And if I'm gonna tell a story about this jersey, I gotta tell a story about a pair of cleats that I brought with me too. Let me get these old, dusty, all black, beat up, worn out, chewed up. One thing about NFL players is that we are superstitious. After a big game, I came home and I had these shoes. And I let my kids paint them. They started off and they painted them all black. And every game I would come home after a good game and my kids would paint the shoes. And they thought it was a good luck charm. Well, after about 3 or 4 games, I'm like, I got to get these shoes painted every single week. So I wore these shoes in every single game in that 2004 season when I had 16 touchdowns and led the NFL in catches and receiving yards. It was a special, pair of shoes, and my kids were a part of that. And this jersey, in the 10th anniversary, I think when people thought that, Moose was slowing down a little bit, I was really just getting started.
It's good stuff.
Just getting started, man. What a legend.
I just like that person, that was a personal kind of just a touch to it that made it special to me. Here, this is for you, CK. Check this out. This is Steph Curry.
If it's the actual clip, that'll probably get us
just one. Yeah. No,
if it's from a broadcast.
Yeah, I gotta just.
Like I said, put it on Rumble. You see it on Rumble.
This can't get us. This can't get us. It can't. I hope not. Look at this.
Probably so.
Dude.
Damn. Yeah, he's such a
man.
Pretty amazing.
Bro. He's incredible.
That dude. Man.
You Bryce is about to be the NFL stuff.
I was about to say, if you can, that's what you hope, man. That's what you hope to see a guy.
He did it in a tournament, though, a celebrity tournament.
I know. Yeah.
It's like he's out there. You got who's the guy that's on Pat McAfee?
Whatever, man.
Is his co-host. AJ Hawk was there.
Yeah.
He's hitting stuff out there. And then Steph Curry. Look, my man is just like you said, a killer. He's a psycho. And we've stolen this. We got to find the guy's name who went on WFNZ and pointed it out about Bryce Young. And he said, look, he's the one that called him a psychopath. Maybe a sociopath might be it. I don't know which one would be more apropos. But he goes, look, is this guy's down points here? He's on the 5-yard line. There's 40 seconds left, and he's smiling. You know what I'm saying? That's not normal. That's not fucking normal. It's not normal to hit hole in one in celebrity golf tournaments if you're a fucking 3-point shooter. It's not normal to have that cool, calm collectedness that these guys had. And I can't wait. I guess this is we almost need somebody else to narrate Luke Kuechly's. It's almost like he's too boring to describe his own career.
CK can do it.
Yeah. I'll reach out to him tomorrow. It's good. I got it. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I got this.
Wild. So cool stuff is that, again, celebrate these things. What is, next? Brian Burns.
Yeah, man. Yeah, buddy. So Brian Burns, we have learned that the Carolina Panthers have extended an offer to Brian Burns. But the market seems to be on hold at the edge position with a couple of big deals on the horizon. Now, in case you didn't put two and two together, the deal that's on the horizon would be one Nick Bosa, who is probably going to be the highest paid defensive end in the NFL. And this is what happens. You want your other contemporaries to get paid first, so that way the market gets inflated and you get paid even more.
Yeah.
And I've said this for a long time now, and credit to Tony, because Tony was the one saying, hey, we should have paid him 2 years ago, probably.
Told you guys. I've been saying this for all these people is
right.
Last year we should have done, last offseason, this should have been done.
Yeah. And now the Panthers have no choice because we already don't know who the edge rusher opposite of Brian Burns is going to be. We don't know if it's going to be DJ Johnson, Marquise Haynes, YGM, a name that nobody's really believing in a lot. But to not have Brian Burns this year, I mean, the Panthers really have to pay Brian Burns basically whatever he wants. We're going to hope that he's asking for something reasonable. But, you know, I remember Dave Gettleman. There's a whole bunch of really good Gettleman-isms for all the bad things that he did to this team. He talks about a player's first kick of the can. And this is Brian Burns' first kick, man. This is his opportunity to get as much money as possible playing football. And, you know, especially now that we're moving to a 3-4 defense, we've all felt for a very long time that a 3-4 is best suited to Brian Burns and his ability. Now we're finally doing that. So, you know, he's going to be an even bigger piece in our defense than he even has been before.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what do we think about the Brian Burns situation, and how do you think this is going to play out?
And it's not that I was some sort of savant or had some kind of crazy insight into why we should have paid Brian Burns, but I've covered this team through this podcast for over a decade now, and you know, you just realize that like when you need a player, you gotta pay him. And we made a decision on Brian Burns last year when we didn't sign homeboy that went to the Eagles. Help me out.
Hassan Reddick.
Yeah, right. So by letting Hassan Reddick walk, we said Brian Burns is the guy that we want to build into the future with. That's the moment to do it. Again, you should be looking on the horizon for what other players are going to be getting deals as well, right? So not only have you like kind of put all your eggs in the Brian Burns basket, you've waited for the natural inflation to go up as well. You know, we got ahead of this with Cam Newton. When we extended Cam Newton in 2015, I believe it was, we did it a year early. And Cam, while people are like, yeah, he got top money at the moment, 5 minutes later, it wasn't the top money anymore.
Right.
So this won't be the top money next year. And then here's one other added caveat to this. And I think this is why Lamar Jackson was such a threat to NFL owners, is they've gotten wise. NFL players have gotten wise. They used to like to say this, is there used to be some sort of ego trip 10 years ago, 15 years ago, about being the highest, signing the biggest contract ever, the biggest theoretical contract, right? And they would they would do all these things, but then the guaranteed money wasn't crazy. It never was. It was to be like, oh, this is $176 million contract. But you're like, there's no way they're ever going to make that money unless they're just fucking worth it. And NFL players have gotten wise that the guaranteed money is the most important thing. And if they can get the guaranteed money, who cares about the length of the contract anymore? And I don't want to sign a contract that's 6 years. That's 5 years. I want the guaranteed money to be in line with a 5-year deal, but I want me to be trying. If I'm Brian Burns, what is he, 25? I'm
25 years old.
I'm sitting here going, man, let's make this a 4-year deal Let's make this big money when it comes to the guaranteed money, where you're going to have to keep me no matter what.
Get a
and
second
I
kick
want to
of the
sign
can.
I want to kick the can again.
Yeah.
Can I ask, why is it that whenever a team doesn't offer what we feel like should be to the player, like they just don't offer in the contract, let's say last year, the team's a villain. But when the team offers this player said contract and the player rejects it, the player's not a villain.
Leverage.
Like do you see what I mean? Like why do we?
This is just a leverage thing, Greg.
So, but why can't the team have leverage? This is a business, and they are trying to win. Why do we not allow them to have the leverage?
I want to highlight this comment by our very own C3 Diesel Skills, the brand ambassador. He said, letting out the news. I love this comment because I think it hits the nail on the head. Letting out the news that we declined the 2 first-round picks killed the Panthers' leverage. Because if we weren't going to pay him, we had an opportunity last year to offload him for 2 first-round picks. Again, now we don't have a proven pass rusher outside of Brian Burns. When you're doing deals like this, right now, the Carolina Panthers simply do not have leverage. And I'm telling you right now, I think that we all need to swallow this pill. Whether or not you think Brian Burns is worth it, which I do think he is, because I do think that he's going to have his best year this year, and his name is going to be considered amongst the very best defensive ends in the NFL. But as of right now, we need to swallow the pill that we are probably going to be paying Brian Burns somewhere between $22 and $25 million a year. Right. And that contract is probably going to come before the Panthers go to Spartanburg. Right. At least I would imagine.
And let me make it clear, I'm fine with Brian Burns being paid because I feel like he is one of the top defensive ends in the league. But I feel like holding out because you want to be the highest paid player, like you said, Tony, in 6 months, you're not going to be the highest paid player again. There's a lot of stuff that goes into this. Maybe, like I said,
this isn't holding out, Greg. This isn't holding out. Like, as in, no, because this is the idea that this would be like if there's 3 houses for sale on your block, right? And if you're the first to sell out of those 3, you don't get the inflation, the rise up
maybe
of the comps. No, because here's the thing is once Bosa's money hits, it's going to naturally bring this up another 3% for him. So it's just like for him, it's just patience. It's not holding out throughout the season. He just wants these other people to sell their house first, so the comps are new and updated.
And can we also, you got to think about it from another strategy aspect of this as well. If Brian Burns right now, if he does get paid and it's significantly less than what Bosa's hoping to get paid, then Bosa is not going to get that money because now the market is going to be set at a different amount, right? So there's and even if you think about from an agent perspective, like let's say that Brian Burns' agent is able to negotiate a deal that Brian Burns would accept right now. Well, his thought might be like on the potential of getting more money by holding out to see what Bosa's got out there as well. So it may not even be Burns entirely. It may just be that he's being, I'm not going to say coerced, but he's going to be having a conversation with, with Brian Burns about, hey, let's hold out and let's get, the most money possible. And I think that could be a possibility as well.
And then the one other component too to consider, Greg, is when you said like who's winning the PR war, right? Who should we be upset with, happy with? I think this is like this is the best thing to do when you go buy a car. And maybe I hope this doesn't hit too close to home, Greg, since you're in the car situation.
Car, yeah.
You don't want to shop hungry. And if you walk into a car dealership and they know you need a car, they don't have to, they have more leverage than when you have a car. If you're buying a car out of a luxury, like it's like, hey, I can stick with my car right now. Right. Like I'm happy with my car. My car works. I can walk away right now. But if you need a car in the next 10 days to get to work, you don't have the luxury and the time to do the comparative shopping.
Right.
And the Panthers are the ones that are shopping with no car right now. They had the luxury earlier. They made the decision. They should have said this. And really, this is the thing, is they should have said, look, we're letting Hassan Reddick walk. We can't afford to sign both of you. We know we're working on Brian Burns. Let's just go ahead and get this done right this second.
Yep.
And then let all that play out later.
The moment you let Hassan Reddick go, you had to, at that point, that had to be
Your
priority number one, was put Brian Burns at the top of that list.
And then further complicated by not trading.
Right.
Now, the one thing, though, is this. Now, to go be fair is like to the Panthers in this case, so they're just not like bumbling and fumbling through these negotiations. They probably aren't the ones who leaked that information. Right. It was probably Green Bay or the Rams who leaked that information, who then were like, you know what? You guys said no, so fuck you. You're going to pay this.
Yeah. That's how it works, man. That's the nature of the business.
Yeah, and I guess my only issue is not so much the business, it's people and fans that I look at, because like, okay, like when an organization does what they have to do to save that 3 or 4%, like Brian Burns is trying to do right now to gain that 3 or 4%, they're looked at as villainous and rich people who just want to make more money. But guess what? When the leftover salary cap doesn't go in the owner's pocket, like he's not making more money by saving money on a deal. He's making the team better in the future. He doesn't get to pocket that money. But we villainize them when they do this, when they make decisions to save that 3 or 4% for a player.
I don't know if I agree with
Then when
this.
a player does it, we agree. We say, oh well, the player's doing what they have to fight to win and to get what they want. It's just, for me, it's weird the way that fans portray those kinds of things. Like automatically the owner is villainous for doing the exact same thing Brian Burns is doing right now.
Greg, it's because the owners are, and especially in our case, a multi-billionaire, right?
That's fine, but like I said, they're not pocketing the money from the salary cap. They're not gaining anything from this.
Like, I think a lot of people try and put themselves in the position of the player.
Right.
They're going out there putting their bodies on the line. They're selling tickets. It's their names on the program. It's their jerseys being sold. Now every year,
they're going to be gone in 10 years. The Panthers will be here in 10 years.
Right. There's never there's always right, but there's always brand new television deals around the corner as the money is going up and up, and as you're as you're risking CTE and all this stuff. Yeah, but Greg, if I'm playing, I don't want $5 million. I want 15.
And I understand that.
And you might call that selfish,
but
at the end
owners are always like, is this, Greg? Don't fall for this. Is a trick. Don't fall for this trap, Greg. Don't fall and feel sympathetic and empathetic and cry the loudest for the people that got the best scenario here. Right. So we're not worried about that. And it's not even that. It's not even a good guy, bad guy thing. Mm-hmm. I think we need to try to remove that emotion out of this and just recognize this is a continued business. It's a continued, like for me, it's just like when I go into a car dealership to buy a car, they're not villainous for trying to make the most money off the car. And I'm not villainous for trying to spend the least. Like it's the natural. I talk about this a lot with my students, is that there is this unfortunate relationship that's developed between teachers and students, where it's like, or the lion and the gazelle, where you think we're like the natural enemy. Actually, here would be the better example, and this is actually the example I use with my students, is the natural relationship between the employer and the employee. The employer, by nature, right, by definition, always wants to get more work for less money. And the employee wants to get less work for more money. They are the lion and the gazelle of negotiations. They are and so Brian Burns, is just being shrewd, number one. Number two, the Panthers are going to, the other thing about this too is, to Greg, to get over this thing, is just look to baseball. Is like, these guys make bazillions of dollars and they can suck, right? Look at the Athletics. The Athletics spend the least amount possible every year, which in baseball it's a lot different because there's a luxury tax and some different things there.
There's no salary cap,
right? But the fact is that, look, the Commanders have stunk for 20 years or whatever it is, since 85 or whatever, and they have
were
tripled
in the early 90s.
man, homeboy bought them for $400 million and just sold it for like $7 billion. So they can stink and their value goes up. A player can't stink and his value go up. So like they really need to get the most juice for the squeeze. And this is all a timing thing. That's what it really comes down to, is that the Panthers are just shopping hungry with Brian Burns. There's some other factors that are the other guys that are signing the deal. And it just behooves Brian Burns not to be the first guy to put the pen to paper at this moment.
Yeah. I mean, and
is
let me
just common practices.
Yeah.
Damn, I'll go after you.
Let me just put out there real quick. Yeah. Then I'll let you go, Cody. I don't think that Brian Burns shouldn't be doing this, or that he shouldn't get paid. I do believe he should. And I think he should hold out and do what he's doing to get paid. All I'm trying to do is make the comparison of it's the exact same thing owners do, but we look at it differently. And like, that's kind of my mindset, is I'd like for people to look at things the same. This is a business. He's doing what he has to do. I think we're all agreeing here. We're just kind of coming at it from different angles. But
I almost want to disagree that we only look at owners as villainous. I mean, how many times have we looked at players who've turned down massive contracts? Like, let's just talk about Lamar Jackson. We villainized him for for 2 years because he didn't wouldn't accept the contract that they were offering him at that time.
Did we villainize him, or was Baltimore? Because I thought everything I listened to, Baltimore's been villainized.
No, Baltimore was a part of it, but it was 1,000% people were on the same thing with Dak Prescott. When Dak Prescott was wanting his deal, everybody was like, "Oh, they offered you a guaranteed deal, and you're not going to take it." That just seems, not reasonable and seems like a money grab and whatnot. Like, it doesn't just happen to the owners. I think it's just a matter of situations. Situations are situational.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, before we go any further, I want to send a very special shout out to any of our listeners. If you are the praying type, or even if you're not, man, we want to send our thoughts and prayers to Michael Wydrick, whose grandmother was diagnosed with cancer. Michael, we're praying for you, brother. We know that's difficult when a loved one comes down with a serious illness like that. So send your thoughts and prayers to Michael, but also to our guy Jacob, C3 Jacob Self. Today, tragically, his cousin died. I'm not going to say how. He put it on Twitter, but still, out of respect, his cousin died today, and it was really rough. So if you're the praying type, or like I said, even if you're not,
2023 wasn't a good year for the Carolina Panthers, but I'm trying to make 2024 a better one for myself. Get started on your resolutions with Factor so you're ready for the new year. Factor's ready-to-eat meal delivery takes the stress out of meal planning and sets you up for success in the new year. Skip the grocery stores, prep work, and cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door. With over 35 meals to choose from per week, including keto options, calorie smart, vegan plus veggie, and more, plus over 55 weekly add-ons, you'll have a ton of nutritious and flavorful options to kickstart your resolutions. Skip that overpriced takeout trap. Factor is cheaper and way more delicious than takeout. Get chef-crafted, restaurant-quality meals delivered right to your door, and they're ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes, which means more time for you. Head to factormeals.com/C350 and use the promo code C350 to get 50% off. That's code C350 at factormeals.com/C350 to get 50% off.
Doctors take Field of Greens for their own health. Here's Dr. Ryan Green to explain.
We're like you, too much fast food and not enough exercise. That's why I take Field of Greens. The fruits and vegetables in Field of Greens support my heart, lungs, kidneys, and metabolism for weight loss. And Field of Greens promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back.
Get 15% off with promo code HEALTH at fieldofgreens.com. That's promo code HEALTH at fieldofgreens.com. Product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Thoughts and prayers to Michael Wydrick and to Jacob Self from the C3 family. We love you, boys, and our thoughts and prayers are with you right now, man.
Let's turn that to one kind of discussion is that despite us talking on the internet about things, these are about real people. what we talk about are real people that are out there on the gridiron, or us making fun of people on the internet or whatever. In this case, these are some, just remember is that there are real people behind Twitter handles. There are real people on the internet, and it takes a lot for people to get out there, put themselves out there in front of people a lot of times, vulnerability. So, we'll be, just remember, everybody's got these crosses before you criticize people or jump to conclusions. So we'll be thinking about those people. And you know what? That's why we're fam. That's why we're fam here.
That's it. C3 rides together, baby. We're in this together. Everybody is C3, man. So that's what it is. C3.
Let's look at this next wild storyline. I don't know if you guys saw this, but I jumped out and put I'm experimenting with some new content. I dropped a video at 8:00 tonight, or a few minutes before 8. Take that, challengers. You want some time slot challenges? You got the premiere of the C3 News Beat. Tony Dunn out there getting some of these hot topics. This is a clickbait story here, and I could not resist putting it in the title of the YouTube video. This is why we click on the stories and actually read them, though. I saw this on PanthersWire.com, and Brian Burns named the most overvalued player. Speaking of this, when it comes to the money, and I was like, what? I was like, I thought I was the person that said these types of things, is like, trying to temper these expectations. But I went and read the story, guys, and it turns out Jeff Kerr from CBS made a list of the most overvalued players. And what he just meant was this is not overrated, but that the team just depends on them too much. And and so when I was really reading, it was like, and go to the next slide. I think I got a quote here from the Panthers Wire story. Hopefully, did I not put it in?
No, I might have rearranged it.
Okay. But it says something to the effect of, is like, if you really look up the definition of overvalued, it's like you lean on it too much, and that the Panthers have leaned too much on Brian Burns in this case. Is like their whole defense is built around him. I think that's the Armani Edwards one.
And when you put it that way, it's not really wrong.
No, not at all.
I mean, it's not wrong at all. Here, Tony, go through the slide, and I'll let you find it and pull it up. But I mean, no, if you put it that way, it's not wrong. And that's why we're saying that the Panthers really don't have leverage when it comes to paying Brian Burns. Like, he is the beginning, middle, and end of the Carolina Panthers pass rush. If you don't have him on the team this year, your ability to affect the quarterback goes down dramatically, right?
So much that we're celebrating Derek Brown right now, Cody, which I've been a Brown supporter. But you know how many people were hard on him? It gets so easy to be like, oh, we shouldn't have done this. We shouldn't have drafted this. And then he has a good, and now everybody's like, oh, man, he's so good. He's all of this. Is Brian Burns was the only guy on the team that was like that.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he's been a leader, man. He's done so much for this team right now.
Yeah.
Here's your definition, Tony.
It says, sticking true to the official Merriam-Webster dictionary entry, Kerr chose 16 NFC players whose team may assign excessive value to or place too much importance on. In short, these guys are too heavily relied upon. So hold your horses, folks, before you get in the comments and you be like, Brian Burns haters, this and that. Is, is that the whole thing is, most overvalued player in Carolina Panthers history. Go.
Overvalued? I mean,
Christian
that's pretty
McCaffrey.
easy.
His definition. No. Oh,
Christian
Cam
McCaffrey.
Newton. Cam Newton. The whole offense was just like, Cam, go win the Super Bowl. Good luck. That's what I say. Cam Newton, most
I would
overvalued. That's what I'm going to do my next video on. That's just going to hit on YouTube.
Yeah. I would also say Christian McCaffrey. I mean, think about the past 3 years of the Carolina Panthers. Are just like we said, Brian Burns is the beginning, middle, and end of our pass rush. Christian McCaffrey was the beginning, middle, and end of our offense.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Thing.
Like
everything was from Cam to Christian.
Through him. Yeah.
Too bad Brian Burns didn't have a name that started with a C, because it'd just be C3. Most overvalued Panthers podcast. Go. C3.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. So Brian Burns is going to get the bag. Whether, is that you're shopping hungry, as Dave Gettleman discussed, and that's what they're doing. So we've got that. And let me see what else is going on with the Carolina Panthers right now. Let's see. Brian Burns to Joe Person writing for The Athletic. And I'm going to pull up the story and read some of the names off for you guys. It's the starving time of NFL discussion, right? This is when you should take this is probably when David Newton's taking his vacation. Joe Person, you would think, is probably, you need to just take your vacation every year in these 2 weeks leading up to training camp.
Right.
He did a thought on every player. That's what it was. It was just like, I have nothing to write about other than let's just write 3 sentences on every player. Here's pick a player, any player, and I'll read it to you.
Let's go, Bryce.
Matt Corral.
I like that one. Oh, these are, but you know what? That's what I was hoping you guys would say. We'll start with Matt Corral for Cody. The former Ole Miss quarterback figures to get the bulk of the snaps in the preseason. By the way, that one line right there has made for 3 headlines on different websites right now. Right. It's like he wrote this, so then other people on other websites, and I'm guilty of doing the same shit like this. It's like, what do we talk about? Hey, former Ole Miss quarterback figures to get the bulk of the snaps in the preseason. That will give the 2022 third rounder a chance to showcase his skills for the Panthers and every other team following what amounted to a redshirt season. Corral went down with a season-ending foot injury last August at New England. A strong summer could make Corral attractive to a quarterback needy team. But there's no reason for Scott Fitterer to give away a QB he traded up for, who has 3 years left on his rookie deal, unless he drafted the number 1 fucking quarterback.
No, he's you got to keep in mind too, his thoughts are beyond just the fact that we do have, like, he's not looking at Matt Corral as a starter, but we are looking at the potential for the fact that you can have 3 people on the roster, right, that are going to be quarterbacks and not have it impact the 53-man roster minus the 5 inactive. So I think there's value in keeping Corral, and I think that's what it's saying here, is especially with the uncertainty around whether Bryce Young is going to be able to stand up to the pressure and the physical demand of the NFL defensive players sacking him and pushing him down. Like, I don't know about you guys, but I watched Quarterback on Netflix.
Yes. We have to talk about that tonight at some point. And damn it, I forgot to put it in the slideshow.
Talk about it on my show.
We have to talk about that. It's so good.
It's a very good show, but it will make you panic about Bryce Young.
Yeah, it did.
Thank you. Yes, and I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about how they show the hits and the way they
There's
show.
There's an episode, I believe it's episode 4, and it's called Kings of Pain. And they really go in depth and they show you the injury. So they profiled 3 quarterbacks: Patrick Mahomes, Kirk Cousins, and Marcus Mariota. And they show the amount of damage and just the physical trauma that they put their bodies through. And, the fact that when you're throwing the ball, you're completely defenseless. And there are going to be times when Bryce is going to have to, with a defender right in his face, he's going to have to stand there, deliver the ball, even though he knows he's going to take a shot. And, this is where people like Greg and other people are like, they hate the fact that he is a small as he is. And it's one of those things that it makes you nervous, man. And it can happen to anyone. It can happen to a big quarterback. It can happen to a small quarterback. But, it really makes you happy that you see Bryce bulking up.
Right.
Because he's going to need to do that. He's going to need to continue to prepare his body for the rigors of an NFL schedule.
But it also makes you realize why they made this new rule change with regard to 3 quarterbacks being able to be active on game day.
Right.
Because it's like the demand on the bodies of these quarterbacks is unreal.
Tremendous.
Don't you think we would say that on any position?
No, because not at all. Not at all.
Yeah,
like you
I
think
don't think
about like you have
maybe
3
not
like
a
running back or
would
probably be the closest, I would say.
What?
Right? A running back would be the closest.
Yeah, running back I think would be the closest. A running back, or actually an offensive lineman too. They get beat up. Offensive lineman or defensive lineman get beat up.
Yeah, but they're
series.
so like
they're players.
They're so big as it is. I don't know that I would put him. I don't know if I would put that in the same category personally.
Sea Dog is in the chat. Sea Dog, the show is on Netflix and has already. It was produced by Peyton Manning's company and has already been renewed for season 2.
Yeah.
The questions that have been surrounding that are how much pressure does that put on a player to have them follow? They're trying to mitigate that discussion. Both, what's the name of his company? Is it a funny
Omaha
Productions?
Oh no, okay. This was something else I've been seeing. Is like but the Netflix, is they're trying to do, I guess, what Hard Knocks is trying to deal with, and that is like, how do we convince people to actually let us do this? So you can be open and show vulnerability.
And I feel like they already did it better too. Like I feel like Hard Knocks is a dying brand. And this
teams want to do it.
Yeah, and this is what's going to really, I think, make people change their minds.
He had a good argument. I think it was Peyton that said, like, hey, look, these guys deal with that pressure all the time. And that, like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, is that if that's your thing, that you're scared of the extra headache, that's not the problem we're going to have here. But I think that you could imagine if they did it on running backs. You know what? I bet you that Netflix wouldn't pay as much.
I don't think you'd get as much. I don't think people would watch it as much, to be honest with you. I think that if you did this show on any other quarterback, any other position other than quarterback in the NFL, you don't get as many viewers. Everybody
true.
Just like everybody wants to be the point guard,
I don't know
everybody
if
wants to be that guy.
Right. I don't know if any of you guys ever watched like the Formula One series on Netflix, which is awesome. But like I'm more of a fan of F1 now because of it. And Netflix is doing this thing where they're doing these documentaries about different sports. And I think it was last week we talked about an expansion team in Germany or UK or whatever. Netflix is worldwide. Think about the people that are going to watch this documentary about quarterbacks and just become enthralled and fascinated with the game of football and everything that goes into it. And I mean, they go into the verbiage of like how long the play call is,
which I think has got to be an antiquated thing. Like they have to find a different way to make the same play calls less fucking ridiculous.
But
well, they do it in college.
I don't think you can.
I mean, in college,
it doesn't have to be like applesauce, baby. Like, can't they just have like a word for each position group rather than like it's like a poem?
What they do, but Tony, you have to realize that most times when you hear a play call, it's not just one play; it's 2 of them. Because you might kill that play and go to another one, and then it's an entirely different thing.
Applesauce, goldfish, blah blah blah.
Can I be honest, Tony? Like with me playing sports when I was younger, and we had stuff like that, it was always you might say 5 or 6 words, but you're only looking for 1 or 2.
Right. Well, each
a lot
person,
of them are just
you're right. A receiver's only looking.
They're just camouflage. You're just listening for this one word, and that one word is what you're supposed to do.
I'm snack food. I'm protein. I'm
the offensive linemen are listening to a certain part. Like if you notice, there are times when the wide receivers they'll break the huddle before everyone else,
right? Because
they've already heard the part of the play call,
fudge rounds, mashed potatoes,
right? But it works. I mean, it like I think there's no way to get around it. To be honest with you, with the way you have technology of people videotaping and listening to play calls and all this stuff, I think the only way to do it is to have that ever changing. Like to ever changing, like I think every game you should change your stuff up.
You should have. I mean, man, if they're reading lips these days, I'm tired. We don't even need to be doing that anymore. Maybe that's why half of it used to be so complicated too. And we used to also make fun of people, be like, "Oh, they need a wristband." Well, hell yeah, you need a wristband because you
Yeah.
Now this is why when it comes to I live in a college town and we have a very successful baseball team. And now this shit is crazy in baseball. And baseball's always been so analytics forward, right? I mean, it is a game that's structurally built around math, right? So it's like that is a game where analytics can apply even more so than anything. That can be like, oh, this guy hits curveballs at this percentage. This guy throws curves. Like they can calculate all this crazy shit.
That's where this S2 test that was all throughout the draft. That's where the S2 test originated. Baseball.
Our baseball coach has this fucking placard of all this shit, and like players are wearing these like belts and these and they're going up to bat. But they're changing all the signs from like the first 3 innings to this, right? So they're doing, not only is it such voluminous amount of information, then they're making it super complicated on purpose to disguise and do all of this. So nobody looks at the coach now and goes, "Oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about because he's got this fucking database. He's holding an iPad out there." We used to be like, "Oh man, the quarterback has to have a wristband." Now you're like this, go get the wristband. We might get the play in 3.
How do you not have faster. A wristband? It's like you have to, and they do change the game plan every single week. So it's, the only other alternative that I could think of, Tony, is what they do in college. Because a lot of college quarterbacks, they're not calling plays in the huddle. They get to the line of scrimmage and the coaches hold up different signs with different pictures for what plays they want. And they'll call audibles. They'll do all that stuff from the sideline. The problem is it makes it a lot easier to steal signals and calls.
I wish they would just let them put the earbuds in, dude.
Well,
so everybody can hear the call. Like, you know what I'm saying?
That would make sense, yeah.
Like, you know what? Is the receivers you don't even almost have to huddle up in a way.
What was the Super Bowl? Was it Seattle and Denver? Or Seattle and Indy? It was one where Peyton Manning was in the Super Bowl against Seattle's defense when they were like the Legion of
2013.
Boom. And they just got annihilated. And they said, they were like, we knew the play calls. We knew what this meant when he said this.
Oh, I thought that was the Patriots versus the Panthers when they stole all the footage and recorded everything.
Well, that was part of it too. Yeah, definitely. But no, I mean, I think they were legit. They studied tape and they just knew the play calls. And that was what killed them in that game.
Yeah.
Hey, I was going to say, before we move on, back to the Matt Corral story.
Oh yeah.
Everybody knows I'm a fan of Matt Corral. I think that the dude can be a big time quarterback. I think the only reason why we're not going to see that is just because he never had the opportunity. He had a bunch of shit circumstances in form of Matt Rule burying him on the 4th string, and really the team never decided to commit to him. But the fact that we're going to see a lot of Matt Corral in the preseason, I just hope for the best of him, or the best for him. Yeah. I would love to see a scenario. Again, the likelihood, that's a whole nother thing. I would love to see Matt Corral be our backup and overcome Andy Dalton this year. Who knows if that'll happen. But even if Matt Corral does ball out to the point where some other team wants to give us some kind of value to trade for Matt Corral, then hey, I would love that too, man. I want him to go somewhere where
he's gonna have the ability to play. Right. Yeah. If he's gonna have the ability to play somewhere else, I completely agree with you. I think just go ahead and do that. I mean, it makes no sense to try to hold on to a guy just for the sake of holding on to him. If he has the opportunity. Well, I mean, the thing is, you would want to trade him. Don't put him in a position to be just able to sign with whoever.
No, I
right?
get
That way you can control his location and whatnot. But other than that, I think that you need to keep that guy. I mean, right now, I'm just like, especially if you're Greg, right? Like you want to 1000% make sure you're keeping 3 quarterbacks on this team right now. Because if something were to happen to Bryce Young, having a guy like Matt Corral in the wings could be extremely helpful, and especially if he gets the reps in the preseason to make it worth it. So.
I haven't watched the Netflix series, Cody, the quarterback.
You have to.
I've got one comment and one question.
Mm-hmm.
I read one thing, which I love. This is Kirk Cousins starts the whole episode 1 with a Margaret Thatcher quote, basically like a paraphrasing of a Margaret Thatcher quote, and that is, "If I could walk on water, they would criticize me for not being able to swim," which is awesome.
Yeah.
My question to you is, how did Marcus Mariota and the Atlanta Falcons look? Because Marcus Mariota, we heard the storyline of Mariota like stepping away from the team after the benching and all of this. How did it come off to you?
Well, they talk about it on the show. They breached it momentarily, and they basically made it seem like, or at least Mariota and his team, they made it sound like he elected to go get a surgery that he needed to do and that he needed to get done, and that he elected to do that instead of choosing to be with the team. But it just so happened to happen right after they named Desmond Ridder the starter. Then they interviewed Arthur Smith, and apparently basically they said that Mariota acted on his own, has sought his own medical advice on what to do, and then they are the ones that determined to get a surgery that he had been needing. So again, there was kind of no real resolution to it.
Yeah.
They did show clips of people in the media being like, well, why did Mariota just go to the Atlanta Falcons? Like, they touched on it and they did a good job presenting both sides, but I still feel like I don't know a lot more about it now after watching it compared to what I knew then at the time.
Greg, this is for you. Going back to our discussion about the Athletic and Joe Person writing a blurb on every single person. Here you go. Chuba Hubbard. Hubbard's catch percentage increased in his second season from 67.6 to 82.4%, but it was a small sample size. Hubbard's targets dipped from 37 as a rookie to 17 last year. Hubbard has to show Reich and offensive coordinator Thomas Brown he can be trusted as a pass catcher out of the backfield. This goes down through every player. Here's one for you, Cody. Shi Smith. Smith has a catch percentage of just 53.8% since the Panthers took him in the 6th round in 2021. He could be squeezed out of the receiving rotation, faces competition from Marquez Stevenson and others from the punt return position. I don't know who Marquez Stevenson is. This is who he is. The former Houston wideout is nicknamed Speedy for a good reason. He ran a 4.45. That's not that fast. It's fast, but it's not like, oh my God, we're going to call you Speedy. Well, Demir Bird's over there like fly faster than that. He's good in the 3-cone drill. Talks about CJ Saunders, Gary Jennings, Josh Van.
No, I got one. Let me hear Cade Mays.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
I got one too after this.
Because everyone is I feel like there's a lot of smoke saying that Cade Mays could be the right guard this season to start the season.
Well, because
that's what they talk about in this.
Recovering from the offseason.
Right. But a lot of people were thinking that either Chandler Zavala would slip into left guard and Christensen would go to right guard, or it would be Brady Christensen at left guard and Chandler Zavala at right guard.
Don't check your boys 4-man rush because they're going to say Brady Christensen getting cut.
Oh, yeah. I don't give a damn.
Person does also believe in that as well. That Cade Mays will be starting out at right guard.
Here he goes.
Tony, what was
Mays,
the gentleman? Yeah, go ahead.
Cade Mays, the former Tennessee lineman, was a fun story for his rookie season when he'd line up in the backfield as a beefy fullback in the Arby's package. Arby's, fish sandwich, curly fries. What does that play go like? I wonder. But there's more pressure this year on there's more pressure this year on Mays, who appears to be the choice at right guard until Corbett returns.
Yeah, I think that's a name that collectively we as a fan base need to start paying more attention to. I believe it was the 6th round pick out of Panther Pickles, Tennessee Volunteers. And it seems like a lot. Tony, what was the guy that you named? Mike K. You interviewed Mike K.
Yeah.
And he also mentioned Cade Mays when you were speaking to him. So I think that especially as training camp comes near, with this offensive line formation kind of being up in the air as to who's going to be slotted into what position, Cade Mays is a name that we really need to keep our eyes on.
Who needs Arby's when you've got monster subs with the C3 Panthers podcast next Thursday?
Yeah.
That's where the meets are at. And then you can meet us as we do a live podcast Thursday, late lunch for us, 10:15 practice, I believe is when it starts.
What
2
time?
hours. I think 10:15 is when training camp practice starts.
Yeah,
I believe. And then it's a 2-hour practice, very time limit. So it's exactly over at 12:15.
What time should we be there if it starts at 10:15?
Probably 9:15.
Yeah, 9:30.
Yeah.
It just said, look, is getting there, or well, actually, is now the tickets are going to help. I think the real thing, if you want to get there early, it's like where you're going to. It depends on how Reich runs it too, because a lot of times what they do is they have these 2 practice fields, and what they like to do to be assholes is to put the kickers at the close one. So like there's this big hill and all of this room for us to all watch. And the closest field is just like kickers and like them working on like punt return, like whatever.
Yeah.
And then all the good shit is in the back. And there's only like one, you get basically like the length of the end zone to go huddle up over there. Right. Or else you're watching it from afar. So the benefits of getting there earlier to get that kind of spot if they're working on that backfield. And the other thing is, if you're really interested in getting autographs.
Yeah, see, I'm not.
And you know what? I did it a long time ago, back in like 2014, 15 with my kids, and went before training camp. Social media and all of this has made all of this such a event. Everything in the world has become an event.
Yeah.
So you'll see this. The last time I went to training camp, and it's been so long, man, maybe 2017, is that people would go and get there and post up for the autographs like before practice started. And you're not gonna, and they only are gonna sign on the way out.
Yeah.
Right. Like is rarely do they're riding in on the golf carts. They're going there to get business. They ain't stop this on the way out. They'll spend that time. And people will just go there just for that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think you want to be, it just kind of depends on where we're going to post up, what we're going to try to do. And then the other thing is just the drive time. Muscles, what are we talking? Maybe 13-minute drive from Wofford to Monster Subs. It's just straight down the main drag. And then you get to everything like where the breweries probably are. So we'll be there. I'm guessing this. Around 1:30, we'll be popping off the podcast, eating, having good things. Trying to get Brian Burns' brother to drop in and get on the sticks. That's what I'm working on. What other name? You said
He
you
said
had one.
15 to 20 minutes on 29.
Okay. I have one for me and G Baby. What does CJ Henderson say?
Oh, all right. Hold on. I got to go to the defense.
That's a good one.
I got to go to the defense. Hold on. 1 second. On the defense, Henderson.
I want JC Horn too. CJ Henderson, JC Horn. Those two.
Okay, let's see. And they're probably all together. All right. So CJ Henderson, the top 10 pick, played 66% of the defensive snaps in last season when he finished with a Pro Football Focus coverage grade below 50. Ouch. For the second year in a row, the Panthers declined to pick up Henderson's fifth-year option, making this a big prove-it year for the former Florida corner. And we might as well do Dante Jackson and J.C. Horn.
Yeah.
J.C. Horn, there's one thought that outweighs all others for Horn, who told The Athletic in June his first goal for 2023 was staying healthy. That was days before he hurt his foot and ankle working out on his own, sidelining him for the rest of OTA and minicamp. If Horn's healthy, he's a top 10 cornerback, but he has to stay on the field. And going on to Dante Jackson, Horn isn't the only starting corner coming off an injury. Jackson told reporters in June he felt good after Achilles surgery last fall, although the veteran stopped short of saying he'd be ready for the start of camp. Given the state of backup corners, the health of Horn and Jackson is imperative.
So how confident are we with this backfield?
None's.
Hearing this, like how much do we believe this? I guess honestly,
it depends. If we stay healthy, and that's always the biggest caveat, I think we're okay. I really do. Having a backfield of Xavier Woods, Vaughn Bell, Jeremy Chin, J.C. Horn, Dante Jackson, if we're able to roll with that, we could do a lot worse. I really think that we could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
The way you start to worry is when it comes to J.C. Horn and Dante Jackson and their injury history. And it's a big deal for J.C. Horn, right? Took him with a top 10 pick. And, he really hasn't seen the field a lot. A bunch of them were kind of freak injuries. It was some bad turf in Houston. Then he broke his hand on a helmet. There's been a bunch of weird things. But J.C. Horn physically is a shutdown corner. And I have no doubt in my mind that you can put J.C. Horn on the number one wide receiver of every team that we're going to play, and I'm going to put my money on J.C. Horn every time.
Right.
So, yeah.
Well, I was just going to say what it sounds like you're saying, and I agree with you, is that when healthy, we have maybe a top defensive backfield, but I think that one of those things falls, and we are totally screwed, which sucks. I think that if we have to fill in any position anywhere for any injury, not just multiple, but just any injury, anybody goes down, and we are seriously hurting. Because beyond those names you name for the starters, I'm not confident in anybody else. And I'm not insanely confident in all the starters.
Well, I like the depth that we have in the trenches on the offensive line and defensive line, which I can't remember the last time that I felt like we had depth on both of those sides of the football, right? It's impossible to have depth everywhere. And I agree with you. We do not have a lot of depth at the cornerback position. Sideshow Rob says the coaches like Keith Taylor and Stanley Thomas Oliver, and that doesn't do a lot for me. It doesn't do a lot for most people.
It's cool.
But again, if we are able to stay healthy, I don't hate that defensive backfield. And moving to this 3-4, Ejiro Rivero's defense last year was rated, I believe, number 6 or number 7 in all of the NFL. So if this 3-4 defense allows us to play more aggressive than we have been in the past, then I like that even better for our defensive backs and allowing them to play a lot more aggressive and playing a lot more man coverage, which I feel like fans have been asking for a long time now.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely seems like he's got the speed, and it, from what you see from his brother, he seems to be under the impression that's it. What he's going to be in this year in this defense is going to be him playing his natural position. So which is going to be a positive, as we're starting to try to get these defensive players to buy into this defense, and also be able to kind of excel in a new defense. I think having one of your stars be comfortable enough to say he's going to be in his natural position, I think is a positive.
Have no fear. Herb Miller is here. The 6'2" Miller played in 4 games during Tampa Bay's Super Bowl season. He intercepted Detroit's David Blah late in the 47-7 victory in Week 16. Cornerback. There's your answer, Greg. No fear about Dante Jackson. Herb Miller is here.
Yeah, I love Dante.
And back to the Brian Burns thing, just super quick, is there's a reason these videos are all popping. What is Brian Burns' brother's name on Twitter?
Hype Man Lucci.
Hype Man.
Hype
You know what I'm saying? This is all like watching him doing all. I mean, yes, is that probably and true? I don't think it's like unethical, right? But you know what I'm saying is there's some self promotion going on too.
Oh, for sure. And that's his brother, so he's trying to look out for his little brother.
You gotta look the part, act the part, be the part, do all that.
Can we be real though? And I can pull that up again if you want me to. Apparently, Brian Burns is up to 260 pounds right now.
He looks good.
That is one nimble 260-pound man.
Yeah.
Okay. And I mean, dude, he is looking to get an interception this year. And I do think that it talks about the work that he is putting in moving into an outside linebacker. Because now that he is an outside linebacker, I do think there are going to be more occasions where they're going to ask him to drop back into coverage. And I think the fact that you're seeing Brian train that so heavily right now means that he is taking this transition. Yeah, right. He's taking this transition from a traditional 4-3 defensive end to a 3-4 outside linebacker. He is taking this very seriously, and that's what makes me so excited to see what Brian Burns has the capability of doing this year.
So much easier too of an ask probably for him, right? Is like, hey, let's get you to be this athletic freak that we drafted you because you were, rather than being like, oh, we want you to put on 20 pounds and be a muscle guy as well. This is, but I think this is, speaking of that RB thing, and we're going to get into that later, is how mad the running backs are right now. 15 years ago, it was a unicorn finding a guy who had this type of skill set. It was like, and that was what was freaky about Julius Peppers, is he was 285 and doing that type of shit, which was wild. But you were always Quentin Coples. Go back to Quentin Coples, Carolina Tar Heel. He was that kind of, when you talked about bend and speed and being able to get in space and do some coverage, these kind of all in one, is that those guys were a rarity. But now the way the college game has gone, they had to create a whole new classification. They don't call them defensive ends anymore. They call them edge rushers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So this is just, maybe it's going to be in the future or right now easier to find 3-4 defensive ends coming out of college than it is to find the Jadeveon Clowney.
Yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Riz B, who says, which is why you would give him the bag now or regret it next year after he has a monster pay me type.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But they tried to give him the bag, right?
No,
I don't know what the details were.
They made an offer.
Okay. I don't know what the details were.
He's going to take it, bro. He's going to sign. Don't worry. He's going to sign. It's just like, he's going to sign. And this is why I'm upset. Is my bastard son in the chat? And all
I know he's somewhere lurking.
These guys, man, we had
call his name, he'll pop up.
We had this damn fantasy draft for our dynasty league, and I told my friend that we just done it or finished with it, and that they were speeding it up. By the way, I'm still mad at y'all for being like, oh, well, now the rounds are an hour, and I'm driving home from fucking Myrtle Beach, and people.
But after the 15th or 16th round, does it really matter? Just put it on auto
it
pick.
Does. It fucking does. And guess what, Greg? We got 2 months, bro.
I know you need to make that trade with me, Tony. By the way,
I'm not going to trade him, dude. You don't. I told Greg. You guys want to hear a nice up real quick? Greg wants Stephon Diggs from me because he's got Josh Allen.
Yeah,
he wants to pair him.
Yeah,
and I drafted Stephon Diggs early, second or third. Well, I think it was third round because it's a dynasty. You can rock 2 quarterbacks. He's my number 1 wide receiver. And so Greg has been messaging me every few days or whatever. It'd be like, what can we do,
man?
What can we do to get this done? And I said, look, man, he's my number 1 receiver. It's not about just him. It's about what he is for my team. You have to give me a number 1 wideout and something special because I know you want him. So you can't just be like, I'm gonna give you 2 number 1s and this. I need a guy to take his spot. That's the points aren't gonna drop off. So Greg goes, he sends me this deal back. He goes, here's your number one. Fucking, what was this dude's name? Jones.
Peoples Jones because you have Watson.
He called him a number one receiver. He ain't even the number one on his team, dude.
When I sent you the original offer, it was because I had Calvin Ridley in there. That's why I said I had a number one guy.
Oh, I didn't see the
Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley out. Oh, yeah. You took it. I was like, man, what the hell? Yeah. And you know what? Calvin Ridley ain't even a number one. He didn't even play last year.
Okay.
I do think he's going to be badass.
He might be good. No, I'm not saying that. But it's like to tell me I was like, that's not a number one. Amari Cooper's the fucking number one on that. He's like the number 3 receiver on that team, dude.
But I sent you a running back and a number 1 pick as well.
But the one thing I don't like about I've got running back. I'm fine.
He's airing you out, Greg.
I don't like this about we drafted too fucking early.
Nah.
Somebody's gonna blow their ACL out in fucking training camp, and we could have drafted a month later, and we wouldn't have had to. Too early.
Or Stephon Diggs is gonna get traded to like an Atlanta Falcons, and you're like, do I really value
traded him to Greg for Peoples Jones?
Shut the fuck up. Hey, your bastard son says maybe if you were a better father to him, he wouldn't have changed the time like you wanted.
Oh, well, you know what? Yeah. Well,
fuck you, Anthony. I'm not tanking, damn it. Shut your ass up, stupid.
I don't know, man. That trade was suspicious.
I don't give a shit, bro. Y'all went to see what I'm doing.
Yeah. Oh, my God. Yeah. You traded away who?
Well, which one?
Didn't you trade away like your Patrick Mahomes or somebody? Like, no, somebody real good, like a quarterback.
Well, I got Trevor back. I have Trevor on my team.
You got Trevor out of it. Okay.
Yeah, but I did trade Joe
Calvin Ridley for
Burrow.
What the frick? Yeah, dude, you gave me AR and you traded Burrow away. Yeah,
but I'm playing Dynasty, man. I'm playing a different game than I am normally playing. Normal fan, and bro, I got the squad. Y'all just next year, y'all just wait until y'all see what I do. Yeah, everybody's saying me and G Baby are the worst teams, but I think y'all are gonna.
G Baby's awesome. He's just like, I'm gonna take all these Carolina Panthers, baby. I fucking love these guys. He traded me like 4 picks and got Hayden Hurst. I was like, damn.
He was trying to trade Hayden Hurst to me today.
Okay. Let's get back to the show. Look, you're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com, where every Tuesday night we post up. And this is the longest running Panthers podcast where you hop in the car, we ride to Mint Street. In this case, we're riding to Spartanburg to Monster Subs on Thursday to hang out and be at training camp throughout the week. It's going to be a lot of opportunities to hang out and be fun or meet us and just be a fam. Look at this. Another way you can support the C3. These turned out really good, man. I don't know. I can't wait to see how the shirts turn out. Like I want to
put you up on screen.
I want to see how the shirts turned out, like when they get there, right? Because like I made the design, I did all the requirements, but this is the mug. Like I didn't know where. I mean, I knew according to like how I put it up there. I was like, is it going to be a hair to the left or to the right? I'm a lefty, so I need to make my own.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I am looking at it. I did it for the righties. You can get these 2 different size mugs. They really turned out great. The C3 Panthers podcast mug, small way to support the show. Now, look, as you got to remember.
And by the way, let me also say, when you see us at training camp, there's a good chance we're going to be wearing these fly-ass shirts that you see up on screen right now. Repping C3 Panthers podcast. Go to Carolina Cat Chronicles and get you some, man. Hey, C3 Nation is for the fans, by the fans. Show everybody how you rep your favorite Panthers podcast, y'all. That's CarolinaCatChronicles.com. And to show you how dedicated we are to our fans, G Baby has his own shirt, y'all. You make me fucking sick.
Yep.
Yo. We're going to have more at some point. Panther Pickle, he's going to have to get a shirt. All of the bigger names in the C3, they're going to get their own.
Well, you got to become a personality. Not that you're not already. It's just like we have to have some inspiration around this. In fact, I think it was Anthony Piccarello who said that would make a great shirt. And I saw it in the chat when G Baby was calling in. I was like, I'm on it. right? And these are, so we have the ability to do some small things, but I've got to find, things. Look, no one's even bought the G Baby shirt yet. It's unpurchased. Will you be the first person to make me?
Damn, G Baby ain't got no fans out here.
So that's out there, and you can again support the show. And Cody, I'm gonna give you a little tip of the Cody. Go ahead and pull up the subscriber shame, because we're gonna pass the mic after I get to this. Is that there's other ways to support the broadcast, right? Is that these small things. We make $2.50 on a mug, right? I know, and it's things. It's hard to make money in this world. Remember that, folks. Is that it's not like there's 10,000 people ordering these shirts. These are more for us, just small ways to continue to grow and buy some things for us to do the live broadcast, like a sound bar. So I'm hopefully going to have the show broadcasted at Monster Sub, so the people that are there can hear it, some different things. But there's small ways you could support the show just by smashing the thumbs up button, subscribing, hitting maybe consider being a C3 super fan just for $1.99 a month. You can continue that small, just if $20 is too hard to give, maybe $2 is easier to give, or I want to thank you guys for giving us your time, attention, and energy out there. So smash the thumbs up button, subscribe. Small ways to help us monetarily, yes, but just share the show. Look, we've got brand ambassadors out there. We got Diesel Skills, who's always just saying, look, check this link out.
Dude,
look at this.
Is the man, dude. He is certified the man. And by the way, Tony, I don't know if you know this, at the end of every show on Friday, I give him the last word, because he's like a preacher out here, bro.
I know.
He gives a speech that will make you want to run through a wall, bro. Shout out to
so
Diesel
uplifting.
Skills, man.
But
He's
those
incredible.
are small ways, man. I mean, I'm telling you, it's not just money, your time, your energy, effort, but it's so small. We don't know it because there's so much going on the internet. I have the guy I train with, the studio I go and work out at, is just sharing the story. Our local restaurant, Familia, here in Greenville, North Carolina, it's owned by my brother. It doesn't seem like much, but one share leads to one follower, which listens to one more family member. And if you're not willing to do that,
Shame on you, Lorne Michaels. Shame on you, NBC. Shame on you. Shame on you, Lorne Michaels.
Shame on you. Shame these mugs.
Hey, but listen, man, if we're gonna shame them, it's one thing for Tony to do it. It's one thing for me to do it. It's one thing for Greg to do it. But they don't come here to listen to us do it. They come here to listen to them beautiful pipes, baby, from the voice known to make them moist, the one and only Cody Dizzle Allen. Talk to him, Big Papa.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, as we sit here, training camp just upon us in a little over a week, where you get to not only enjoy the company of other Panthers fans, but also C3 faithful ourselves. The Tony, the Professor, we're going to have Cody Lack, we're going to have the Bad Daddy, and tonight we're talking about a lot of things, and you're here to chalk it up with us, but you haven't hit that like button yet. You haven't hit that subscribe button yet. Well, I have one thing to say to all you absolute freaks. Subscriber shame.
We have 81 people watching, 53 thumbs up. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that notification bell for every single time the C3 Panthers podcast goes live. Hit that join button for $1.99 a month, man. Listen, as the season starts up, we're going to be ramping up the amount of content that we put out, and all of the special content that we do, like the film room, a few other different shows, man. They're going to go out first to our paid subscribers on YouTube for $1.99. Then it'll go live to everybody else. It helps us do some new things for the fans, and it keeps it fun, man. It keeps everybody coming back to the C3 channel. So we appreciate the love. And Tony, before we do some cat calls, let's go You know what? I'm going to hit the bumper a little bit early tonight because this news is bigger than just the Carolina Panthers. I mean, it is truly news that is reverberating around the NFL. So let's hit that news bumper, baby. Is a running back strike all but imminent? That's what people are wondering. Specifically, all the running backs who have not yet to get paid, including Saquon Barkley, Josh Jacobs. There's another name to that list. I forget who. I have the article up here. But basically, the trade deadline or the Monday's deadline for franchise tag designated players to agree to long-term contracts passed without New York Giants running back Saquon Barkley and Raiders running back Josh Jacobs and Tony Pollard of the Dallas Cowboys signing multi-year deals with their respective football teams. And it really has a lot of people going off, specifically running backs, about the importance of the position in the NFL. Matt Miller, it kind of summed up the NFL's thought process when it comes to running backs. And Josh Jacobs, I believe, was the one who responded to him. We have them all right here. But Matt Miller said, draft a running back, play the running back. If he's good, franchise that running back one time, and then rinse and repeat and draft that running back all over again. Well, now these same running backs, they're coming out and saying, man, that's bullshit. Jonathan Taylor replied to that and said, if you're good enough, they'll find you. If you work hard enough, you'll succeed. If you succeed, you boost the organization, and then doesn't matter, you're a running back.
Well, if I had a vagina, I would be the president of the United States, right? It's just life isn't fair. Sadly, it's just like this is the unfortunate reality. Look, and it's just the world has changed. The world has changed, and we're dealing with it. And look, you know what? You want to trace this back to the Carolina Panthers, so we don't just completely steer. Of course, thank you, Jerry Richardson, because Jerry Richardson's the one that hardball the talks with the NFLPA in 2010 or whatever with the lockout season and all of this. The franchise tag, the rookie deals, like the structures they put on them benefit the game. They benefit the product and they benefit the NFL teams. They don't equally benefit the player position by position. Right. And this is what you've learned is like the running back position is one of those it's like the hardest thing to pick up for them. They have to just learn pass protection. Other than that, it's instinctual and doing the same shit that they've done their entire life, right? The leap is not there position wise for the adjustment that it is for other positions. So the running back position, and then here's one other thing is, not only have we moved to a passing game where running backs are slightly devalued or not slightly, but are being devalued, but their physical skill set is more easily replicated than a 6'6" receiver or something like that. Right. It's like there's just more 5'9", 225 guys that can run pretty fast than there are 6'4" guys who are 225 pounds that can run like the wind, that can play wide receiver. And the game at the lower levels, when it comes through Pop Warner, when it comes through middle school to high school to college, it used to be like the best player always played running back.
Right.
And they ran 85% of the time at a high school game. But now these guys are throwing in high school a lot. So the skill position players are moving at younger ages, where it's not just the most athletic motherfucker plays running back anymore. And my bastard son, Kev, a.k.a. White Chocolate Espresso, he said this is you want to change this, you get rid of the franchise tag. And arguably what you probably have to do even more, Kev, is to take that rookie deal and shorten it even more. to where a first round draft pick is 3 years or 4 years max, and what they can actually get out of them, because he's right. Draft the running back, run him off the fucking run the it's like a rental car, man. If I get a rental car, you think I'm dogging that motherfucker out? You think I'm worried about the long-term health of the brakes? I'm worried about this or that. Nah, like I'm like, man, let's squeal some tires, bro. Let's do it. I mean, at least when I was younger. Now that's what you do. You ride them till the wheels fall off, and then you discard them. Right. Sorry, you're playing the wrong position, guys. Yes, you are playmakers, but we're gonna have to have the NFLPA start to negotiate better things across the board. This is not just like, oh, it's so unfair.
Right. So on a couple of points, I agree with you, Tony, right? I do think that it's the world that we live in, right? You know, if you're a kicker, you're not getting paid a tremendous amount of money, which brings us to another point that we'll talk about here in just a minute with regard to your frustration with people not understanding math. But the tough part about it is there's a stark difference between the top tier and the bottom tier running backs, right? The problem is that it doesn't seem like it's as hard to find them. And that is the part that is where they're like, when you look at every single team, the amount of running backs that are on the market right now are astonishing, right? Or even up for trades or on their final year or on a franchise tag. It's just a substantial amount of these guys, and they're all considered incredible players. You have, like Miles Sanders was free. You had Josh Jacobs until he got a, franchise tag or signed or what have you. Or no, he franchise tagged, I think. Saquon Barkley's franchise tagged, I think. I mean, you have a whole list of Dalvin Cook was released or, plans to be, if they haven't done that yet. I mean, there's just, you can go down every single team and pretty much everybody has a star running back, like a star.
They grow on trees,
back.
it feels like.
And that is, if you have a position that it is easy to go down, like more than half of the entire NFL has a star at the position, then it's not as valuable as if you look at a wide receiver where maybe 10 teams have like a star at that position. So that's the part that I agree with. The thing I don't necessarily agree with is I don't think that a running back's job is necessarily more simple than everybody else's. I think, quite honestly, they have to worry about pass protection. They have to understand routes. They have to understand cadences. They have to make sure they're picking up blitzes, like you said, or blitzes. And then on top of that, making sure you're picking the right running, right gap, vision. I mean, I think it is far more complicated than they're just having to, be instinctual. However, it doesn't mean that I think that puts them at a higher, like they need to be paid. The argument that I agree with too with you on this, Tony, is that the Players Association has to be the one to say running backs have to be valued at a certain amount. Like that's just got to be. I mean, because the truth is, as easy as it is to find a running back nowadays, they take a beating more than anybody other than maybe the offensive line.
Yeah, the wheels. There's a cliff too that for that position. That comes at 28, 30. That is not there for other positions, or it doesn't seem like it.
I don't think that means that they shouldn't be valued. I think that means that they that means their earning potential is even shorter, right? And so you might be right. People might be picking the wrong position, but then all of a sudden now the running back position becomes less and less valuable. You're going to have less and less chance of finding somebody who's a star running back. And all of a sudden now you're having to pay running backs a tremendous amount of money to be a star running back in the league because there's a supply and demand aspect to it. So I think there's just got to be a bit of give and take. I think that people have to be reasonable, that they're not, you have to be reasonable that you think that people are going to, pay you what you're worth, but also not come about this like the way that many of the people have been on the internet, and that is that the NFL is absolutely insane for not wanting to give Josh Jacobs a long-term deal. I mean, like I said, if he's asking
or
for
Saquon,
who is injury prone as well. I mean, like it's not abnormal for these. And also,
Jacobs deserves it more than Saquon, in my opinion.
I mean, the argument I
He
also
led
would
the
throw out
NFL
there.
in rushing yards from line of scrimmage last year.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but the thing I would argue with this is it's the NFL team's prerogative. If they don't want to value it, they don't have to. You don't have to sign back with them. If you do get franchise tagged, you're still getting paid a tremendous amount of money for a 1-year deal. Move on. Go to another team after that. Like, that's the thing. Is like, if you're not happy about it, go somewhere else. If nobody's willing to pay you that, then your market value is only what people are willing to pay you for it.
And that is what the argument is right now, is that there is no market for running backs. So Austin Eckler was also in the news, basically saying that, hey, the market wasn't what I thought it was. It came with baggage. By the way, thanks to Spectral A1 Actual with the 10 Aussie dollars. Shout out CK. But to add some further context into this, right now the average salary for a running back is $1.81 million, whereas the average for a field goal kicker is $2.26 million.
Don't care. This is the most misleading bullshit ever.
Let me add one more thing. Not the right one. Hang on. This right here. So, okay, two things that go against the running backs arguments right now, right? One, look at Isaiah Pacheco last year. Undrafted free, or no, he was, I believe, a 7th round pick for the Kansas City Chiefs. And that dude balled out last year.
Yeah.
Damon Pierce, the running back for the Houston Texans, 3rd round pick out of Florida, wasn't really a running back of note coming through the draft. And yet he had an incredible rookie season last year. The position is so incredibly replaceable. But then, if you talk about what everyone's doing this for, it's to win a Super Bowl. And from 2009 to 2001, look at the base salary of the leading rusher and the amount of money that they're paying, that the Super Bowl winning squad paid to their running back. It ranges from $460,000. The most is $2.5 million in 2013. I mean, when you win the Super Bowl, the teams that are winning it, they are not paying a lot of money to their running backs.
Yeah.
So the market is kind of utterly devastated for them right now. Go ahead, Bad Daddy.
Well, can I ask a question? Because there's a lot of things that we're not taking into consideration right here. One is because we're just talking about base salary, and that's salary from the team. Okay. I want to point out that the average American income is between $50,000 to $70,000. So we'll say $60,000 a year. So you're looking at these salaries, and most of them are at least 10 times that. Okay. So I'm not going to feel sorry for these guys. First of all, like Tony said, this is a position they picked. Second of all, this is just their base salary from the NFL. They're making a shit ton of money elsewhere. I guarantee you, if you're worth your weight in salt, you're making a shit ton of money elsewhere. Well, that's where most of their players make their money. Look, hold on. Now, this stat shows that running backs make less than the average kicker. There's 75 starting running backs in the NFL. There's 32 kickers.
Well, there can't be 75 starting running backs. There can only be 32
if you go look at NFL.com, no, if you look at NFL.com, there are a ton of teams. There's not a lot of teams that have one guy that is their starting guy. Most teams run on a dual set. So there's
like 130 running backs that play each week on special teams. So the stat is skewed.
Yeah,
the stat is skewed. It's a poor stat. Yeah. It's like what Mark Twain says is there's stats, damn stats, and lies. Or at least that's a paraphrasing of it. The other thing is that maybe there's an argument that kickers are underpaid here, because it's not and for a team that struggled to have reliable kicking at times, it's not just as easy as going and finding a soccer player who can come out there and kick. It's rare to have, there's not 32 great kickers in the league. There are 32 good kickers, and there's like 10 great kickers.
When there's not 32 good running backs in the league. Right?
Well, they're elite type running backs, but there are, and it's more replaceable. It's an easier, again, here's the thing is like, the other thing is that the teams that have won, who won the Super Bowl last year? The Kansas City Chiefs. Do they have a big money running back? No. How about the year before?
Nope.
The Rams, did they have a big money running back at the time?
Nope.
No. How about the year before? The fucking Buccaneers, did they have a big?
No.
Yeah, like is that the whole thing is that they are great when they are great, but they also aren't the ones that seemingly move the needle. Look at the biggest paid running backs in the league, from Christian McCaffrey to let's go to who's the big guy that could have been a Panther?
Derrick Henry.
All these guys, the teams aren't good. You know, I mean, like Saquon. So it does suck. Is the answer for this is what the players are really going to have to do is they're going to have to stop putting forward individual contracts and start looking towards revenue share. Like their whole goal needs to be like this is let's try to find a way to get a bigger piece of the NFL billions that will pay over time rather than just trying to win individually on an individual contractual level. And I'll give you this example. Ethan Hawke, the actor.
Yeah.
He was friends with the guys who started up, and I should know the name of this fucking company by this point. They're the guys that produced The Purge. All right. And so The Purge, this company that made that does the whatever, they were small scale. They were kind of like outsiders in Hollywood. And they attempted a different revenue model than let's put all this money up. Let's risk it for the biscuit. Let's pay this and then try to triple our money. Instead, so Ethan Hawke made more money from The Purge. He got paid like something like $10,000 to do that money. Mm-hmm. But he took a percentage of the brand or whatever.
Right.
And then it went on to have a franchise, a Netflix, you know, and he ended up, crazy. Ethan Hawke ended up making more money from The Purge that he initially signed for $10,000 or $3,000. It was something like, it's like ludicrous to hear. Like he just, and he made more money over the lifetime. So I think it's just going to come down to, like CK said, is the NFLPA is going to have to do better. And it's hard, man. It's hard, but they got to think this is incrementally. How do we get more of the revenue share? We want 4% more this 5 years. Then we want 5% next. And we got to start so it trickles down. And yes, Mahomes and Brady's and these guys will always be paid more. And sadly, you're the guy that we're going to run off the rails. But maybe we get you more of a pie at the end.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, shout out to 4 More with the 199 love bomb. It says, be blessed. A little birdie told me that this is DJ Moore's brother. I don't know if that's
nice.
true or not, but if it is, shout out to you, man. Happy to have you. And hey, we wish DJ all the best of luck, except when he's playing the Panthers. I think
do we play them this year?
Yeah, we do play the Bears this year.
Yeah, we have a lot of spicy games this year.
Mm-hmm. No
problem. You have all the rookie quarterbacks, the top 4, I should say. I guess the top 5 because Hendon Hooker went to Detroit, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hendon Hooker went to Detroit.
Yeah. So I mean, when we play Detroit this year as well.
I like how we say Detroit. Detroit. It's like
Detroit.
That's how I say it too.
No, the best thing is how he says Luke Kuechly's last name.
Luke Kuechly?
Kuechly?
No, that's not how you say it. You know, damn well, that's not how you say his name.
Hey, I don't know what you're talking about, dude. Jaguars. Jaguars.
Just say the Jaguars. I asked Mike K about this. Jaguars. It's like, good God. We'll be interested, man. There is, you're right, CK, a lot of sexy games from Houston to Indy to Chicago. There's a lot of storylines, and the NFL is about storylines. What are we doing? You want to hit some cat calls, man? I don't know. What do you guys? Do we got anything else to talk about? I mean, we got plenty to talk about. Don't worry, we'll be here until you guys are going into the wee hours of the sleep. But is there anything else specific to the running back. Oh, Miles Sanders. Did the Panthers go too early on as a question? Call in at 252-228-5098. Did they get a good deal? And I'm at this is like, look, I understand that Saquon and Josh Jacobs, that these guys are really great players, Christian McCaffrey. But at the same time, when you pay that money, if you're talking about this, when you watch that quarterback series and you have some, like, it's like, oh God, the beating they take. Saquon has been hurt 2 out of the 4 years. Yes, he's been great when he's out there, but no, at the same time, the fans were talking shit before Dayball and them got there about like, oh, is he a pass catching guy? Can he do enough as a pass protecting? Like, we're always shitting on these players when they're great. And then now we want to not overpay, but give them, look, Saquon is a risk. He's not as sexy, and and that's the risk, and they caught on to it. Draft them bitches in the first round, get 5 years out of them, and move on.
Well, and guess what? The highest paid running back going into this season, guess who it is?
Christian McCaffrey.
No, I mean, I don't believe so.
Derrick Henry.
No, I actually saw. Let me be 100%. I saw that it was Bijan Robinson because the fact that he was a number 8 pick in the draft.
Oh, because it's like fully guaranteed for this 1 year or whatever.
He's a top 10 pick.
How about this?
Let me make sure.
Greg, you said, or who was it? Or CK, you said that like, oh, it's not as just as plug and play, but there is a reason that we in fantasy draft rookie running backs without question. You know what I'm saying? Is like right off the bat, they think that Bijan's coming into a team where there were 1,000, like there was already 1,000-yard rusher last year. They got all this, and like people, and maybe this is fantasy just distorting the reality of the situation. That could be very well it, and is that fantasy is not reality. But like, there's an idea that look, is rookie running backs make a giant impact in the numbers in their first year. Wow, a receiver, you're like, I mean, you're talking Jamar Chase and like 2 other people, but usually it takes time.
Well, so by the way, real quick, I was right. Bijan Robinson will make the most total cash this year at $13 million. Christian McCaffrey comes in at number 2 at $12 million.
Wow.
Who's the most underpaid in this list? Maybe not underpaid. I think Nick Chubb is the most disrespected running back in the league.
Nick Chubb is a monster.
Agreed.
What do you
think
mean
he's
disrespected?
Well,
because like here is the thing is, well, maybe I guess if he's making this type of money right now, then he's not.
He's the second highest cap hit.
And
Tony,
is
he still on his rookie deal? If he still is, good God, these rookie deals are too long.
Chubb got paid.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's why
just like nobody's really talking about him because he's not a pass. And maybe I'm just too much into fantasy football.
Like not really anything right now.
In that
I'll tell you why. And Tony, this goes back to your comment about the fantasy thing. And there's a difference in fantasy football when it comes to elite running backs. Like if you can lock yourself down with an elite running back, it's not a position you have to worry about. There are not a ton of running backs you could plug and play and not worry about them every week.
There's only like 5. Yeah.
Beyond that, there's a lot of really good running backs in the league, but they're splitting carries with a lot of people. So in fantasy football, it's a little different because you're looking for a guy who's going to take the bulk of the carries and be good, which is two things that you just don't see in the NFL very much.
Huh? I mean, I'm just he is a boss. He's like the most, like, to me, is like he's probably arguably a top 3 running back in the league to me.
He might be number 1.
Right.
Yeah,
that's like a legitimate argument. Yeah, it's like, oh, but Christian McCaffrey.
And by the way, a lot of people don't remember the knee injury that he sustained at Georgia. Dude, I don't know if y'all remember that. He damn near had to end his career. He had a terrible knee injury playing at Georgia. And the fact that he came back and is doing what he's doing, Nick Chubb is a monster.
Oh yeah, Chubb is a monster.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bijan Robinson is the highest paid. So that goes to their point. every other NFL position, you're going to make more money on your second contract than your first contract, except for running back. There's a chance Bijan Robinson going forward after this contract never makes $13 million a year again.
No, it's over. Yeah,
but you're talking about $13 million. Let's be realistic here.
No, you can't be like that. That's just because
we're like that. You have to be like that.
We're mere mortals, bro.
Right?
You can say that because we're mere mortals, but at the same time, is like they are the 1.1% of the world.
So
so they're supposed to be
better treatment because of that.
Yes,
because they're physically more gifted
because
than me. They
Greek
deserve better
gods
treatment.
on the gridiron, dude.
Gotcha.
And there's a
$1
trillion industry built on their backs.
Right.
And just so you know, whenever we're talking about more money going to these players, and like Tony, you were talking about earlier, them having a part of the franchise or whatever part you want to do, part of the big part of the pie, that trickles down to us. Just so you know, we're going to pay that. The owners,
we pay more.
That comes back down to us. So what you're asking for is for us to pay more money
for the product,
for them to be able to make more money. This is what you're advocating there.
Or maybe a redistribution of the revenue share.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, man.
Yeah.
So by the way,
you've already turned evil.
Not going
You've
to get
already
rid of
on the dark.
Yeah.
Not only is he the wet blanket, but he is actually on the dark side.
I am, dude. If you see my truck, I have all kinds of Sith stuff on my
Greg,
truck, man.
you
Like,
need to
the Sith
pet
Creed
your
is on my
beard.
phone cover. Like
you need to pet your beard more diabolically.
I'm gonna get my wife to braid it like a. It's gonna be like
a
what are the
Viking
Vikings'
beard?
name? Yeah, I'm gonna have the
Black
braids
beard.
going down the
Yeah,
sides.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah,
Put some
do that.
firecrackers up there.
By the way, this is courtesy of White Chocolate Espresso. This is the average salary per position. Right now, running back is at 1,700,000 something. Fullback is a little bit lower on that list. Cornerback a little bit higher. Safeties over 2 million. Offensive line.
Yeah, when you look at it, just the law of averages, these guys are all underpaid.
I mean, but here's my question. I mean, I would be interested to see a breakdown of the rosters and how many running backs are actually on rosters compared to the other positions. Because, I mean, I would say wide receiver maybe is the only one that is going to have more potentially on rosters throughout the entire NFL. But running backs are usually punt returners. Like it can be wide receivers as well, but you know, it's on many occasions it's running backs. They're going to be usually 4 deep in running backs on every single team. That's not including training camp. That's like mid-season. Like
how many
you're
do you
talking
think
about
are on the
4
Panthers
running
right now?
backs. Right now, I'd say we have 6 or 7.
You're exactly right. We have 6.
Yeah.
We have 3 quarterbacks, 6 running backs.
We have a lot of wide receivers. I can tell you that much.
And they go into that stack.
The point that you made earlier, Tony, look at how many top flight running backs have had injury problems. It's the nature of the position that they get banged up. You're talking about they have to run full speed into defensive linemen that are, 280 to 300 pounds. And that's
every
job.
position has injury problems. Think of Kevin White, my favorite wide receiver that never played anything. But now I do think the most compelling argument by these running backs, by particularly like guys that are being vocal on the internet today, from Najee Harris to Derrick Henry, is that you have top tier running backs making on par what number 3 wide receivers are making. So like Zay Jones and Nick Chubb are like making the same fucking money.
Yeah.
I think it should be like this, is that if you play a certain amount of snaps and there's like some sort of more, you know what I'm saying, that you get in there.
What is Christian McCaffrey? Let's look at the top. Can we do that? Can we look at the top 5 running backs?
Can we do that? But can we take one call code as we look up the information?
No, let's
CK,
do that.
tell us what we need to look up.
The top 5 running back contracts in the NFL right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I have that up. Yeah, let's do some cat calls at 252-228-5098. Let's jump into it.
So what are your thoughts on catcalling?
Yeah, it's pretty. You shouldn't do that to somebody.
And how did that make you feel?
Very uncomfortable.
So how do you think catcalling makes the person feel?
It feels good, like.
Who's that cat sitting in the back corner with his face buried in his nose? Who's that kid that can use one?
Yeah.
Assuming it's coming.
On my left.
It's coming.
Pull it forward to my left here. Pick it up. Pull it forward. All right.
We can't hear anything, Tony, if you're playing it.
Tony, you there? Tony.
Yep.
No. Hey, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. Here's what I'll. Hey guys, it's CK from Rona. I just wanted to call and talk about this news about Brian Burns not signing his contract yet. What do you guys think about that?
Oh, wow, it sucks, man. I wish it would have signed 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You think Tony would know by now that he can't leave and not do the cat calls.
Well, it is what it is. We're here, and we can continue. Like, if we have any details about the running back position, as far as like the top 5 being paid at the position, and what that contract. 'Cause I mean, I remember when Christian McCaffrey was paid, he reset the market, right? We reset the market. And many people look back on Christian McCaffrey's time here, and they think when they look at his contract, they're like, "Oh, that's not that bad." But when we gave him the contract, it was bad. Like, it was a really big contract. Now, the way they structured it, it tended out to be a little bit better because it was essentially like a 6-year contract instead of a 5-year. But he was still paid heavily, and that his contract is still probably among one of the highest paid. I would like to see what Chubb's is. I would like to see what Derrick Henry's money looks like. And then really just break that down and compare it to what that looks. Because I mean, if the top end talent is still making a good amount of money, I don't think it's a fair thing to say that that running backs on average are making what number 3 wide receivers are making. I don't know that is a logical argument.
Yeah, I don't think that is true. Well, real quick, I'll tell you the numbers, and then we'll tell Tony that we didn't hear anything the whole time. But Derrick Henry at number 1.
You didn't hear anything?
No,
man, nothing at all.
God, I'm so.
And you walked away, so CK had to fake a cat call, and I had to answer his question.
Did you do good?
Yeah,
I had to pee so bad, guys.
No, you're good. But real quick, to answer your question, when it comes to cap hit, it goes Derrick Henry at $16 million, Nick Chubb at $14, Tony Pollard at $10, Saquon Barkley at $10, Josh Jacobs at $10. So, by the way, if you notice those 3 numbers, they're all the same.
Because they're on franchise tags.
Yeah, they're all on the franchise tag. Total cash, like I said, Bijan Robinson right now is number 1 with almost $14 million. Then McCaffrey, Alvin Kamara, Nick Jones, or Aaron Jones, Nick Chubb. There's a whole bunch of them, man. Alvin Kamara has the highest contract length. Nick Chubb has the highest base salary. I'm surprised that Christian isn't more on top of most of these. Total value, Alvin Kamara is at $75 million. McCaffrey is at $64 million.
This is a big deal right here, I think.
Yeah. The total money.
Because those rookies get, being a first round draft pick does make you, or especially top 10, like the guaranteed money, like the number 1 pick is completely guaranteed.
Yeah.
There's a reason Bijan is up here, but he's not on these bottom lists here.
Well, what is it like when you look at this compared to wide receivers? I know they're making mad money. I'm not saying that, but like as far as if we're comparing top 10 and or top 5 to top 5, what is the contract value of, say, the top 5 paid wide receivers in the league right now? Do we have that as well?
Tony, play
that other call.
I got it. And you know what it is? I just had it muted because I was testing it. You know how I always fuck up and it doesn't work? It always takes me 2 times to connect the Bluetooth. So I was testing it while you guys were talking, but I muted the output on the board. Forgot to unmute it.
Tony done.
It was good, fellas. It's Corey calling
10
in.
years
I got to be playing because I got a lot on my mind. Not a lot on my mind. I think I got a lot to say, and I usually be running out of time. But real quick, Greg, my guy, rocks it all, y'all. This wet blanket stance that you dug yourself into, you got to stop acting like you don't like being a wet blanket, man. You got to stop acting like, hey, I don't want to be the devil's advocate. I want to be a wet blanket. You like that shit, bro. We know you do. It's you've become the counterman to Cody's rose-colored glasses Panthers fandom, and that's fine. I'm kind of a wet blanket fan too. More, I consider myself more of a realist. Some people might say contrarian, all that kind of stuff, and that's how I view things. I get it, but also in the off season, there's really no room for people being like realistic and tempering expectations and all that. Off season is all about, hey, this guy could be this, and we could be this, and he has the potential to be this, right? So I understand, right? But it was particularly when I started talking about the Brian Burns video and him practicing dropping the coverage, where you were like, just because he's running on the field by himself with no pads and somebody's throwing the ball right to him doesn't mean he's going to get an interception. It's like, bro, nobody thinks that. Cody is being Cody, and he's gonna hype up shit the way he is. But nobody really watched that video and was like, oh shit, Brian Burns is gonna be the next. I don't even know. But it's like it's
Jalen Ramsey
video of him doing drills, and it's the off season, and we're watching it, and we got to talk about something, and people latch on to anything to talk about. But it's like, all right, cool. But I will say this one point. JJ had a call last week about the Bryce Young situation. Matter of fact, I know I'm gonna run out of time on this. I'm gonna cut this call short so I can make the next call be what I really want to be about. Keep on. Appreciate y'all.
All right, we're gonna listen to part 2 of the look. You didn't even run. You had a whole minute. Here is part 2.
Yeah, let Greg respond real quick to his.
I didn't hear much of it. I walked back in and I heard wet blanket was the first thing I heard.
He basically said that you revel in being the wet blanket. That
you always go, oh, I hate to be it, and then you're like, take this wet blanket.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe I do. Yeah. But it sounded like, to be honest with you, towards the end of that call, he kind of agrees with.
No. He was saying this is the time. This is actually the time to be ridiculous, and then Greg wet blanket in 3 weeks or 2 months.
And
I think that's a great call. That was a great call.
Oh yeah.
And I really wear rose-colored glasses?
You do. Yeah, you're going fucking nuts about.
I think we all do sometimes. We all do sometimes.
No.
I go on pirate radio every week, and for the last 9 years, I've been going on with my buddy, and he said to me, he was like, I miss the old Tony. That was like, fucking this guy's gonna be all, and it was like I hate the draft now, and it's training camp, and it's like this.
You're an old curmudgeon.
Just the way it is. It's just like, I mean, but he's been in the broadcast and the radio game for 10 more years than me. Right. So it's just like, we all are. We're hyped though. We're hyped about Bryce. Here, I think but before we go to the next call, just think of some of these numbers right here. When you bring it up, CK, it's not the top 5 that are problematic, right? Is for wide receivers and their numbers, right? Tyreek Hill, Devontae Adams, Cooper Kupp, AJ Brown, Stephon Diggs,
what are the
DK,
numbers?
right? Like these are, they're astronomical numbers in some ways, but they're also fucking Well, all right. So 72 million guaranteed for Tyreek, 65 guaranteed for Devontae. So Devontae
Hold
Adams.
On. What's the contract value of Alvin Kamara? 65 million
guaranteed.
75.
75 million.
So look, is that if we wanted to look at the total value, Devontae Adams is 140. So his 140
How long is that contract? Out of curiosity,
is double. Well,
sure.
It ends in 20. It's always just look at the guaranteed,
right?
But it's not the top players. That's not the issue, right? Those guys, you can't. Devontae Adams don't grow on trees. Right. Tyreek Hill do not grow on trees. The issue is when you get to guys like Michael Gallup, who have 27 million guaranteed right now. Alan Lazard, 22 million guaranteed, right? And it's not a year. It's not just the average per year that's problematic. Is these guys are signing. Alan Lazard hasn't done shit in the NFL. Not, you know what he's always done is fucking drop passes. And he's getting 20. He's going to get just as much guaranteed as like a top 6 running back, you know? So I think there is a point there. That's where it's problematic. It's like, man, is like, look, is Juju Smith-Schuster is getting 16 million guaranteed, and this motherfucker, nobody wants him.
Yeah.
You know, and so that
is
is
this year.
He's with New England this year. Yeah. It sounds like you're making the argument that I always make about when players complain about not making enough money and the salary cap going up and everything else, and like just like why? Like why do you deserve this much money? It sounds like that's the argument you're making. It's a legit argument.
I think the argument is that there are people in the building that do more. All right. And to take this into a place, I'm not going to say where I work. It's like the people at the top always make a shit ton of money. I mean, it's just the reality of things. But like, I don't work in a place where there's ownership.
It should be the best performer should be paid the highest.
But they're not actually the best. They've failed upwards so much. And there's actual people that are doing far more irreplaceable work, it feels like at times, that where it's not that you want more than them. It's just like, why is it so fucking out of whack? And I would just say is the top 10 running backs in the league should probably be paid similarly in the range that the bottom, like the 20 through 30 wide receivers should be paid.
Well, the only issue
not
with
the
this
same, not 1-to-1. I don't want a running back, the top 5 running back, to be equivalent to a top quarterback. It's just is you could be Zay Jones, which I like Zay Jones. And what is Zay Jones making up here? Curtis Samuel is making more money than motherfucking Saquon Barkley.
Yeah. And also, it's a pass happy league right now. Everybody wants to throw the ball. Everybody wants to be able to push the ball downfield. So it's like, again,
they got to stop paying these wide receivers is what they need. Zay Jones is making.
They're not about to.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not about to.
Jamar Chase, by the way, you want to get somebody, you'll make somebody that makes you mad is Jamar Chase. Guess who gets paid more than Jamar Chase? Zay Jones, Adam Thielen, Juju Schuster, Russell Gage, Tim Patrick, Michael Thomas, Brandon Cooks, Marquez Pounder. Like, is the list. Jamar Chase. I'm telling you, the rookies the pendulum swung a little too much, right? Well, is that before the last NFLPA, you had people like Jamarcus Russell, Sam Bradford that would break these broken teams. So you would get the number 1 pick because you're the Rams, but then you would have to pay Sam Bradford everything. And he hasn't even played. Like, you don't know if he's going to get hurt. You don't know if he's going to be good. You don't know if all of this, and you got to pay him everything. And so it was, imagine being crippled by the Bryce Young pick. If Bryce Young doesn't work out, it won't financially cripple us. It will just timeline set us back.
Yeah.
Well, the thing about the argument with like the Chase Young thing, or not Chase Young, the wide receiver for Jamar Chase, is like, I'm all for the best player getting paid the most, but when you have a league like this, it's ever changing who the best player is.
True.
So that's why it's so hard to put that on there. Like, I'm not going to go in when Jamar Chase is a rookie and sign him to a, $75 million deal based on what I think he can do, which is what a lot of people want to do. Now, if he comes in and he performs well, he's going to get paid well for the years he performs. Whether you think it's well or not, he's going to get paid well for the years he performs. Then if he continues to do that and proves himself, then he makes the big contract. Like, it's just when you say it like, well, Jamar Chase makes less than Adam Thielen. Well, that's great, but Adam Thielen, like Jamar Chase has been great, but let's compare just career stats. Adam Thielen has done more stuff in the NFL than Jamar Chase has.
Well, he's also been in the NFL a lot longer, too.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he's making more money because of that now. But I guarantee you, by the end of it, Jamar Chase is going to make way more than Adam Thielen ever made. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. But also, Jamar Chase will mean more to an offense.
Yeah.
Because of what he will do to a defense rather than someone like Adam Thielen.
Right.
It tells you this is when you think about this is you had, I guess one of the coolest examples of what this will be is Antonio Gibson is an interesting one. Look, I never thought that we overpaid Christian McCaffrey because I thought of just pigeonholing him into a running back was too narrow of a look of what he was for our team. So I thought there are some examples where there are running backs and there are sometimes where there are special players. And I thought that Christian McCaffrey was in the special player category rather than just a very good running back. Antonio Gibson, though, was a wide receiver in college that they made a running back in the pros, and now he wants to be a wide receiver. Like, he's like, fuck this. I don't want to be a running back. You barely use me anyway. I fumbled the ball twice, Ron Rivera, and you put me in the Cameron Artist Payne doghouse right off the bat. Is make me a wide receiver. Make me Curtis Samuel, because I could be a busted up Curtis Samuel and make more money than Christian McCaffrey.
I'm just saying, man, I don't ever want to pay a running back that type of money. And I do think Christian McCaffrey was overpaid. Y'all remember, I thought so then. You've
always been consistent on that.
Yeah, I always thought that. And by the way, I was right. With the amount of times that he was injured, he was also a receiver. He was an incredible running back, but primarily we used him as a running back, and he was injured most of the time when the team had to lean on him.
But you could say that about Curtis Samuel, who made 34. You know what I'm saying? Is like his injuries.
He wasn't paid the type of money that Christian McCaffrey was.
All right, let's go to the next call.
What's up, fellas? It's Corey calling in. I made a couple calls earlier, but if you can only, if you ain't trying to play all three of my calls, I understand.
Wait. All right. No, I skipped one.
And part two of Corey's call, I'm going to make this fast, but like I said, JJ had a call last week, and I can't remember exactly all what he said, but the main point, I agree with him, basically saying that, hey, there's a real good chance that if we do see Bryce struggle, or maybe we struggle more than we consider, we'll be able to point to his weapons or his receiving core. Maybe they weren't doing what they needed to do, or maybe they let him down a little bit. And I agree. And I don't think that he's necessarily saying, Greg, what you were saying, that, oh, you're playing both sides and saying, oh, Bryce Young is going to be, if he's great, it's because he's this and he's that and da-da-da-da. But if he's not, oh, it's because his receivers let him down, like you're playing both sides, that kind of thing. It's like, no, I don't necessarily think that's what he was saying. Just that Bryce, as the player that he's been presented to us as, as a cerebral mind, as somebody who comes in and he's working every day and he gets the playbook and he's studying and he's going to be, if anything, if he's not going to be anything else, he's going to be prepared, right? Now, to say if he comes out his rookie year and he struggles more than what we would expect, obviously there's different plays that somebody could make that would indicate like, all right, he just ain't got it, or he fucked up on that one, right? And we would be able to make that distinction. But if we look at the end of the year and say his numbers aren't that great, but he looked like he knew what he was doing, we can easily point to a lot of the weapons to say they could have done more to help Bryce out. And this isn't this crazy big hot take. We've been knowing that this receiving core and these weapons are not really that great. People have been saying it's one of the worst in the NFL all offseason. And you can say you can think however you want to think about how good these guys could potentially be, but at the end of the day, that's what we're talking about is potential. TMJ hasn't shown us anything to be a number one yet. Jonathan Mingo has never played in the NFL. Hayden Hurst is a first-round pick who's never been really anything other than all right. Like Miles Sanders, I think he's more of a complimentary piece than a making something out of nothing, get on my back, boys, I got a type of running back. So say playing both sides.
I disagree with the
I don't
Miles
think
Sanders
that's necessarily fair. I think if anything, Greg, you're kind of playing both sides where you've dug into this. Hey, Bryce Young could be like, I got to see before I call Bryce good thing against, the Bryce fans to where like, all right, if he comes out of struggles, you're going to, do your little victory lap, say, hey, this is why I told y'all to wait. And,
I don't win if Bryce
I told you he could be bad. To where then if he's good, you can say, oh, well, I wanted to be wrong the whole time. Like I told y'all, I hope I'm wrong, but he can be this. That's it, man. Nothing too crazy, but let me know what y'all think, man.
Greg,
like wet blankets. I'm one of them, but you like being that wet blanket.
Greg,
we all know.
I hear you.
Y'all appreciate it.
I do kind of agree with that last point though, because you do have. I mean, I'm not saying that you're okay. Put it to you like this: you're the one that's saying, "Hey, I want to see it first." And if Bryce Young comes out and gets injured week 1 or 2, you are going to be like, hey, this is why I never wanted to draft a 5'10", 190-pound quarterback.
But that's not a victory lap. That's just acknowledging the facts that I put out. That's not a victory lap.
Okay, right. But it was the same.
Fucking concern.
But it was the same thing about Matt Rule, right? Matt Rule wasn't a victory lap, but you were right about Matt Rule before everyone else. And that's something that you can say that most other people can't when Panther fans are trying to be optimistic about the future.
You're right, I can. And how many times do I come out and do that? Because listen, when we draft a Carolina Panther and he doesn't do well, if I predicted that, that's not a victory for me.
Yeah,
I'm not going to relish in
between
that.
blind optimism and optimism and things like that. And we were misled. Greg was. We got to give him the Matt Rule thing. We should have all been more fucking wary.
Suspicious.
Yeah. Well, look, I have one thing to say, comment about that call, because that was a great call, and he raises a lot of great points, and I love talking about this kind of stuff. But I want to ask, when he says, brings up the wide receiver thing, do we think that the wide receiver core we have right now on the Carolina Panthers is better than the wide receiver core he had last year in college?
Yes.
If so,
yes. I can't name one player that was on
any
his
excuses about the wide receiver core for him playing.
Okay, no, that's a fair point.
That makes sense.
And I'm with you, Greg. I'm over the motherfucking people being like, "Oh, Bama didn't have." This is what they always said about Stroud. Is like, oh, he had all these goddamn receivers, and then motherfucking what? You don't got 4-star recruits, 5-star recruits at Alabama at every fucking position. Yeah, it's so what? They didn't have the number 1, 2, 3 receiver, but they weren't working with Appalachian State wide receivers.
They were working with NFL caliber wide receivers, right? I mean, that's just the reality of it. I mean, and that's where I agree with a lot of the detractors away from Bryce Young is, yes, I think there is a connection to him being in Alabama, playing in an NFL ready offense and all that stuff. But I think that's a part of also why it's an appeal. Why we think that he has a better chance of actually making it work is because he's going to be
cerebral.
In a position. Yeah,
he's cerebral.
He's already got the experience in an NFL offense for the most part.
Or he talks so well, right? Is he just convinces us with the interviews and this and that. Look, the real concern about Bryce Young is the size. And it's not about I'm not tall enough, batted passes. It's can you survive?
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's the real, I'm telling you, we're waiting on bated breath when you see him get laid out the first time.
Right.
And when he gets up, do not bullshit if you don't think we all have a collective sigh of relief when he gets up from his first big hit.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That's what we're all going to be like. It's not about him on paper. It's not about him. I don't even care about his arm strength. I don't think he's got the bazooka and all of this. For me, it's just, can you, as a smaller statured person, live in the NFL? Look, You fucking shit on Damiere Byrd, right? You shit on him all the time, Cody. The only problem with Damiere Byrd is they make 175-pound guy do kick returns.
Right.
And when he gets hurt, it's been on a kick. He broke his arm. Like, duh, you're running 90 miles. He's the fastest. It's like, hey, let's take the smallest car and run it into a brick wall and hope the driver doesn't get hurt.
Put it in a crash derby. And a stiff breeze can put Damiere Byrd on IR. No one's saying he's not fast, but it's again, if you're
he's not a
available.
Playmaker, he's not this. It's just like, would any of these receivers last in the 90s when they're going across the middle and head hunting and doing this? It's a different. So that's the concern. No. The concern about Matt Rule was we don't know anything about a college guy coding the NFL. And what we always have to remember with Matt Rule is when there's all this fucking media hype around somebody and we really ain't seen it, we're just like listening to all these fucking talking heads telling us like, oh, that's the thing with Matt Rule. We just listened to a bunch of motherfuckers who said they knew something about him. Right. And it turned out he didn't know shit.
They didn't know shit, and we didn't know shit.
Look, before we go to the next call, I want to put this out there because I was on Friday Free For All and I kind of did the same thing. But I know there's going to be a lot of people coming with smoke for me about this whole Bryce Young deal and everything. I want to make my sign on the hill very clear for everybody. Okay, Bryce Young is my quarterback, and I've never said that I think he's garbage. Okay, I'm very hopeful that he's going to do well. Yes, I wanted C.J. Stroud instead, but I got Bryce Young, and now I'm behind him for that. Okay. I'm very impressed with him working out and the studies that I've seen or like stuff I've been reading about him doing with the studies and everything. Okay. All that being said, I'm not going to say he's the best thing ever to happen in Carolina or he is the deal or he is the guy until I see him play.
He's just getting old, Greg.
That is not a outrageous comment to make. I think he can, and I hope he does. But I just cannot say he's the guy until I see it. I did the same thing with Cam Newton. I want to see it first.
Can I add this because I think that I think a lot of the people might be frustrated with the words because last week you were a bit more inebriated, I would say, is probably the way that I would describe why you said what you said.
He was drinking wine out of a martini glass.
You did specifically say that us wanting him to, like us advocating for him, was making you want him to be bad this year.
Then I misspoke with that, and I do apologize.
Yes, I think that would. I think that's where I think where people are hearing that, like that was one of the things you said, and I think people need to understand, like you weren't. Like you had a lot of shit going on that day. You were just kind of winding down with a nice little drink. You were
which is not an excuse, but
right.
yes, yeah.
Right. So I don't think any of us believed, at least here on the panel, that that's how you really felt that you wanted him to not succeed. But if there's anybody coming from upset from the cat calls or from the chat or anything, it's probably going to spur from that statement alone.
And who gives a fuck? Yeah. This is the type of discussion we want. Right. You know what I'm saying? Is like if we all got up here and said the same shit, it would be boring as fuck. So, Greg, yes, the Jamarcus Russell shit was ridiculous, but it made for a 20-minute good conversation.
Well,
we got to talk about sipping on scissor. We got to talk about contracts. We got to talk about all of this. So it's okay. And for someone who's fallen asleep in the draft show, it's all right. Let's go to the next one. Anthony wants to hear his voice, and he's not the next one. How about that? Wait, you're two in the hole, homie. And I'm skipping a call because who was it that just called 3 times? I'm only playing 2 of it.
What's up, guys? It's Chase from Anderson.
What up, Chase?
3 things are affecting the running back ordeal that's going on. Number 1 is statistics show that the running backs' durability in life in NFL is getting shorter. I mean, you can get a decent
running back down by the dozen now, and there's only very few game-breaking running backs anymore. And after they finish their rookie deal, they really don't have much left tread on them after that. There's very few that play for a long time after their rookie deal, and then you get them on the contracts, and after that, and they hurt. Another thing is the more and more money the quarterbacks are making now, it's ridiculous. These contracts, and these teams just keep giving it to them. I want to be the highest paid. I want to be the highest paid. No, I want to be the highest paid. And I'm not opposed to people making the most money as they can when they can, but it's different now with like the NFL where you got a cap space. You only got so much money to go around. All right. The more of a cap space you got one player taking up, the less there is to go around for everybody else, especially other star players. And this less and less running backs getting the big payday is eventually going to spread to another position. And the way the wide receivers are coming out of the college these days and then through the draft, I think the wide receiver position group is next to one that's going to see that reduced big payday. Yeah, you got the game changers, but there's a lot of good receivers in it. You don't have to have that number one wide receiver. You know, how many like true number ones that's like top 5 in the league receivers that's winning Super Bowls? They're not. The teams that are winning Super Bowls has got that elite quarterback and a complete team made up of young players, unless you go and buy a Super Bowl like the Rams did. But look at them now. They're paying for it now. And for the receiving group core for the Panthers, I kind of see it on both sides that potential is there to be a really solid core of guys.
I like this call a lot. In some ways, look, the thing is that he said, yeah, it is kind of ridiculous in some ways, but the fact of the matter is that there's only so many people that can do it. Right. And actually, I think if anybody's underpaid, it's probably the fucking field goal kickers. I know that they don't kick a lot, but these motherfuckers are in the most pressured situations that you guys tell me that they lose games, they do all of this, and they're not as easily replaceable. The fact of the matter is with these quarterbacks is there's only 5 or 10 of them that are of the top, and then the drop-off is so significant. I think he brings a great point when it comes to wide receivers is like, when does the drop-off come? When you get a guy like a Bryce Young who we think is going to be a distributor, and you're not going to hopefully have one guy who's going to have 10 catches, 140 yards, and 2 touchdowns, but instead have 4 guys that have 6 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown spread around 3 different people, right? Is like, does that ultimately are we consolidating into big business, right? Is the quarterback the Walmart, the Target of the positions while other things are going on? And G-Baby, look, you guys got to recognize G-Baby brings the smoke. He's so funny. He said this. He said, Greg drinks white wine. First, no, Greg, you don't have to defend yourself. Don't defend yourself. It's first, this is just alcoholism. It's like,
yeah,
Greg was just down to white wine. Let's just put it that way. He's just down to white wine. This mug didn't even have
no
other
options.
He was drinking white wine out of a martini glass. I am a red wine guy myself, but I tell you, I was in Italy. I went to Italy. I was there in COVID. I'm patient fucking 0 for North Carolina during the COVID shit. As not a white wine in Italy, different game, bro. Completely different. It's not sweet. It was incredible. And I'm not a white wine thing. So look, G-Baby, people love G-Baby. G-Baby got the good comments. You got to know. And I want to give G-Baby some shout out, a credit too, because he does come hard in some tweets and some comments and some calls. But when we were on the Friday free for all, he didn't overdo it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like he's like it was good. It's good stuff. You guys ready for the next call?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
This is Chase again, just to finish up my thoughts on the Panthers wide receiver group. Yeah, we got a really good, solid group. I think we got a group of a bunch of number 2 guys and a couple number 3 guys. But that's nothing wrong with that. It's better than have a true number 1 and a bunch of bums. You know what I mean?
Or
that wasn't going to do you no good. Like Cody said, it's not about who you're going to double. It's not about, okay, we got that number 1 guy that's got to be doubled. Okay, you leave and you double one guy, you got 2 or 3 other solid number 2 guys that's going to be free or one-on-one to do something, you know. And then again, you also got to look at, can TMJ take that next step? I think TMJ could be an absolute freak if he plays up to his potential. The LSU receiving group that he was part of, think about it, was Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. And he led that group until he got hurt in college. And then you got Thielen, you know, he was absolutely a round monster, but he's in the twilight of his career. DJ Chark could be a number 1 type guy, but injuries are him, you know. So if everybody lives up potential, that's a big if. Man, this is a really solid group. Carefully optimistically.
I like this call right here because while and I think he's right, we have a bunch of 2s. I think fucking the Jaguars have a bunch of 2s. I almost said a bunch of tools.
The Jaguars?
Jags, whatever the fucking they're called. But
Jaguar.
The thing that I come back to is something as Cody has been very optimistic, positive going forward and really defended this wide receiver group, is that while they're unknown and some of them are unproven, they really are the more talented group we've had.
Yes.
Except for, I mean, you could say this is the DJ Moore, the Robbie Anderson, that 1,000, whoever, and Curtis Samuel was arguably the most talented group we've had since like 2013. But if you really look at all the groups other than that one, this one really has both proven and DJ Chark and Thielen and potential more so than us. We're not running bums out like we did with whatever that Russell Shepard was and fucking Corey and look, Philly Brown did a great job in the NFL. So when I say bums, is like he was an undrafted free agent. That it's like it was like he achieved like optimal success in so many ways. It's not Philly Brown, Brenton Burson, our best is an age-ass Jericho Cotchery, who I like. This is arguably the best group since DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, and Curtis Samuel.
We have
arguably it
guys.
is.
But it wasn't even a great group then.
And you know what I call them? I call them the turned up trio. And I'm going to trademark that. The turned up trio. And that is Terrace Marshall Jr., DJ Chark, and Jonathan Mingo. And these are guys that are 6'3", 220 pounds, and can run in the high 4.3s / low 4.4s. And they have an incredible wingspan. Like, these guys physically are capable of doing things that your average wide receiver isn't capable of doing. So, again, man, we have those type of dynamic playmakers on the field. And even though they're not necessarily proven commodities, the upside to all of them is a lot more considerable than many Panther fans are taking into consideration, and a lot of other media members at large are taking into consideration.
All right, here's Anthony from Charlotte.
What it do, C3? It's your boy, Anthony from Charlotte. It's currently 4:29 on July 18th, this Tuesday. Hope y'all boys are doing good. I'm back. I'm not sick anymore, so I'm ready to bring some fire.
Yeah.
Kind of a dead period. Like we're like a couple days from training camp, so that's awesome to see. I can't wait for the boys to get out there and, you know, work hard and, you know, just put in the work with a real coaching staff. We're going to, you know, take it day by day this year. It's going to be an awesome season. I won't miss any of it. Second thing I want to say is, you know, for the people in the back, let me just say Madden ratings are bullshit. Okay. Like, don't take that seriously
do
at
we
all.
have those?
I don't take it seriously. When I use the Panthers, I mean, I still whoop everyone's ass in Madden with the Panthers, whatever their overall is and who the players are. I will say, like, some of the ratings are terrible, like downright disrespectful. I don't know how Brian Burns only goes up 1 overall from the previous season. Derek Brown's like an 85 now, which is, you know, solid, but he should probably be like an 88. The rookie quarterbacks ratings got leaked. Bryce Young is the best at a 74. It just doesn't make sense to me, considering guys like Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence came in at 78. But, you know, I'm not going to bicker too much about this Madden situation. It's just Madden. And, you know, as I've been saying, man, once we prove ourselves, those ratings will go up. I mean, I simply remember Cam Newton in Madden 16, the year after his MVP season, was like a 99 overall in Madden, which was, you know, amazing. But I'm going to stop talking about Madden here. The main reason I called in is because a lot of people, two things. One, Bryce Young is going to sign his contract. He just wants more bonus money up front, pretty much for incentives, I guess. That's what Shout Out Panther Pickle's been saying. So, yeah, he's going to sign his contract. He's not holding out or anything like that. No, the first overall pick doesn't hold out. You get the biggest contract. Like, it's a great contract to start out. The second thing is this our running back market, man. It's kind of crazy to me how some of these guys are criminally underpaid. And to be honest, it's all because of us. Let's just be honest. I know CMC's a great player, and I know he deserved the $16 million a season, but he's the prime reason why these guys aren't getting paid, because he set the bar so high, and he's such a different player. The guys like Saquon Barkley and Josh Jacobs, who led the league in rushing last year, can't even break can't even get like $12 million per year. I don't know. I just think it's kind of crazy. Give me your thoughts on the Madden and the RB contracts. Anthony from Charlotte, keep motherfucking pounding, boys.
Hey, keep pounding, Anthony. Happy you're feeling better. So I have more numbers than just these, but just to break down some of these are the highest numbers from top to bottom in Madden. The highest ranked player that we have is Brian Burns at 88, Miles Sanders 86, Derek Brown 85, Taylor Moton 84, Shaq Thompson 84, Adam Thielen 83, Von Bell 83, Jeremy Chin 81, Dante Jackson 81, and Johnny Hacker 81. I'm gonna share my screen real quick because I have a bunch of other numbers that we can just kind of fly by real quick just to get these out of the way. The Panthers safety ratings in Madden are not great. Von Bell 83, Jeremy Chin 81. That's another thing. Jeremy Chin is not very well thought of in Madden's eyes.
81 is not terrible, is it? Though
it's less than. Yeah, I mean, it's not great.
It's not.
I would say
it's
it's
not,
like it's somebody who doesn't deserve like a big second contract.
Well, which is like what people have been saying about Jeremy Chin right now.
Right.
I have zero problems with these numbers.
So the wide receiver rankings, Adam Thielen is our highest at 83, DJ Chark 77, Laviska Shenault 75, Terrace Marshall Jr. 73, Jonathan Mingo 72.
Who are you most upset by?
72. Well, I mean, again, I don't blame them because they don't know the player that much. I would say Terrace Marshall Jr. is a lot better than
what?
73.
No,
that means that he's in the top.
No,
what,
listen,
30%
I'm not
of the
saying
league?
that he has
is what you're
proven it
saying?
yet. I'm saying by the time the season rolls around and we get to playing football, that number is going to seem very, very, very outdated.
Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't
That's
think
all
it's out of ridiculous. I don't think it's is. And don't come at me with the fucking JC Horn shit. That's the one everybody's gonna be like, "Oh, Jason Horn, top 3 corner in the league." Blah, blah, blah.
The Panthers speed ratings are interesting as well. DJ Chark is a 94. He's the fastest. They have Jeremy Chin at 93. A bunch of different names on here, but you notice Dante Jackson not listed.
What?
Yeah, they don't have Dante Jackson. And
did he lose a step because of his injuries?
Yeah, he lost a foot.
I don't
He lost
know,
an Achilles
man.
for sure.
Terrace Marshall Jr. is at 91. And by the way, this goes back to my point. When you look at the speed that we have from all of these different positions, bro, that's not bad at all, man. DJ Chark, 94. TMJ, 91. Jonathan Mingo's already at a 90. Adam Thielen's at 89.
Jonathan Mingo ain't that fast. Why they give him a 90?
Yes, he is. He ran a low 4.4 at 220 something pounds.
Oh, wait, no 220, does he?
Look that shit up.
I'm not looking it up. I'm playing the next one.
Yeah, you need to look it up. He's a burner,
C3
man.
family. C3 Panther Billy here. Just checking
Billy.
in.
What's
With
up,
all
buddy?
the stuff going around the NFL with these running backs, I'm wondering, do y'all think if we paid Miles Sanders too much money, I mean, could we have got one of these other guys cheaper? What are your thoughts on that? Everybody like, subscribe, keep pounding.
Keep pounding.
I don't think you could. Go ahead, CK.
I was just saying, I don't think you're going to get anybody cheaper. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons these guys are holding out. I think if these guys came with the same price that Miles Sanders did, they would have been signed already.
Right. Is that they are going to command more. The real problem is Miles Sanders just couldn't get the franchise tag.
Right.
Is that I was thinking about how these running backs could try to flip the script a little bit. And really, the one way to do it is to bet on yourself and say, look, it's fine. I'd rather pay for short term more, like just pay me $12 million guaranteed straight up 1 year. And then then I'll go to another team next year, or you'll re-sign me for 2 years or whatever, and we'll figure it out. But they can't do that because the franchise tag is a better deal for the team than like a 1 year, $14 million deal.
It's a better deal, but like I think the other concern
he is 6'2", 220.
You have to look at Le'Veon Bell as a cautionary tale.
Maybe Zeke.
Zeke isn't.
Who's more cautionary? Let me ask you this, CK, because I've been thinking, because I thought the same. I thought Le'Veon, but Le'Veon sat out a whole year.
Le'Veon sat out a whole year and
took less money from the Jets than he was originally offered.
Right, and he went he went down the drain. But I think the reason that that's a cautionary tale isn't that running backs are going to hold out, but it's a cautionary tale because as a franchise, the Jets ended up taking basically saying like, oh well, he's always been a good running back and a really good wide receiver.
And he was incredible. He was the Christian McCaffrey before Christian McCaffrey.
He was,
and arguably even better in some ways.
And so when you think about that, like there's a shelf life that makes these guys afraid to do like a long-term contract with these running backs. Like it was like that Le'Veon Bell was no longer good. Like it was just one season. That one season off might have had an impact.
I know, it killed him. And then he was nothing. He never was. It was tied. Who's worse for the whole group? CK, Le'Veon, Zeke, Todd Gurley. Who hurt it more?
Zeke isn't in the equation, in my opinion.
He got a lot, dude.
Yeah,
he got a lot.
Here's the thing. I saw one article on Christian McCaffrey once that really hit home. And it said this is when you pay somebody on what they did, not what they're going to do, it's hard to that's a hard negotiation. So you paid Christian McCaffrey based on the 1,000 season, but like the odds that he's going to do 1,000 again, do you pay them on what they did in the past or what they're going to do next year? And I feel like I don't feel like Todd Gurley stole anybody's money. I don't feel like these guys stole, but what they did is they got paid on what they did do rather than what they're gonna do.
I think that's true. Yeah.
Well, and that's what happened with Christian, man. We said this is they said, look, we're gonna cut Cam. Christian had the 1,000. Let's just give. But like, how can he replicate that again? Right. It's like Jamar Chase's rookie year. How can you do 1,600 yards receiving and 19 touchdowns or whatever the fuck it is every year?
You can't, but I don't think you sign him to do that. Like I don't think Christian McCaffrey got paid simply because they wanted another 1,000 season. I think they paid him because he was capable of being that talented.
Yeah.
Right. And he was still early on when we did the extension with CMC. He was still really young. Like he was not on the back end of his career. He wasn't like it wasn't his second contract. He was still in his rookie contract. He hadn't even played his 5th year yet. Right.
And people aren't sitting here and saying he's overpaid right now.
Well, nobody's saying that now because
Carolina is picking up part of the bill.
Not even that. It's yes, that's a part of it, but it also is that his contract isn't as daunting as it was 3 years ago when it was signed.
That is a great point. All right, let's go to the next.
Can I ask a question about Miles Sanders real quick while we're talking about running backs?
Yeah.
Why does everybody have this notion that he's not going to be good? I mean, I'm looking at his stats from last
Nobody
year.
has that notion, man.
I feel like I hear a lot of that he's not going to be very good.
There's
either.
a lot of Philadelphia Eagles fans just trying to like basically do what they do when somebody leaves their team. They're garbage. They were never really a part of this team anyway. They didn't really do anything to help us win. But same thing with like what they did with
Wentz. And they have Cam. They have they have the most recent version of Cam, right? And so as he's a side story rather than the story because they have Jalen Hurts, who is just got paid a gazillion dollars.
Right.
Now they got
That
all
makes
these.
sense.
I think
I'm just looking at his stats, and I can't see how anybody could hate on him. To be honest,
nobody's hating on him. They're trying to forecast the regression to the mean. Is the people who are downplaying what Miles Sanders is doing is what they're going to try to tell you. And I have a fantasy football guru friend, and we have a bet right now is like beers on one night at Sports Trivia if he can beat last season or not. And his belief is that last season was his best season statistically. Like 11 touchdowns, 12 touchdowns. This is like it's going to be hard. I think Miles Sanders comes in here and becomes an every down back in Carolina.
Yeah,
I think he's out there more than we think. I think we're going to try to run him into the fucking ground for the next 3 years. That's what I would do if I was Carolina. He's only 25. Let's just fucking eat it up.
Yeah.
Let's go to the next call. 3 more after this.
What up, guys? This is Dave, and I'm trying to get in my cat call. Just one day removed from our third C3 Nation Twitter space. I want you to know we're still early in and working out some bugs, but things in the C3 Nation Twitter spaces is going quite well. Last week, in our first week, only 21 people chimed in, but now this week in just our third show, or third space, 52 people have chimed in. So shout out to Panther Pickle. He's doing a great job, and I want to thank everyone that has stopped in and supported and spoke within the conversation. I want everyone to know that we can have up to 10 speakers at a time. So come join the conversation of the C3 Nation. That's Mondays and Thursdays at 6:30 p.m. for now. Coming up this Thursday, we're going to do a brand new segment, and I'm really excited about it, and I want everyone to be a part of it. It's going to be called Story Time with Uncle Pickle. So make sure you don't miss this. Go to Pickle's page and hit the notification bell and turn on noties for spaces. Cody had a great idea for cat calls today. He had posed the question he had said that he wanted to see Bryce Young do Sunday giveaways just like Cam. And I want you guys to know that I absolutely love this. I can't agree more. Not only was Cam the number 1 overall pick, just like Bryce Young, he was a wonderful contributor to this franchise. And so many people still adore him. Showing this tribute to him each and every Sunday at the home games would just make all the Panthers fans fall in love with Bryce Young if they haven't already. I think that's a perfect way for him to pay homage to a guy that he already looks up to and that he's already talked about. So with that being said, I want to say keep pounding, C3.
Keep pounding.
Pounding.
Great
Yo.
call.
You see what I mean? These will get you running through a wall, man. These is the man, bro. Shout out to him. And yes, shout out to Panther Pickle. The boys have been doing the C3 spaces twice a week. So if you can't get on the cat calls at 252-228-5098, if you can't join the Friday free for all every Friday at 7 p.m. where you can join the link via StreamYard and interact just how we're talking right now, you can be on Twitter and hang out with the C3 boys and join those Twitter spaces. Bro, who has more ways to interact than the C3 Panthers podcast, baby? No one is the answer to that question, damn it. And you know what? To show how awesome our fans are, Nick Lyon with the $20 love. As my big mama in New Bern was sending me Panthers starter jackets in 1996. Boo, Seahawks. Been a fan since 2015. Y'all boys are welcome to the cookout. Love the pod. Keep pounding forever. Shout out to Nick Lyons. Really appreciate you, brother. And yeah,
so generous.
To Deez's call, I put this on Twitter. This needs to be a Carolina Panthers tradition from now until the end of time. And Bryce Young needs to be the one to bring it back. That's right. I'm talking about the Sunday giveaway, baby. Every Sunday, Cam Newton would make a memory for one of these young Panther fans that would last them for the rest of their life. That is an incredible tradition started by Cam Newton and Mike Shula, believe it or not, that has continued to live on. And I'm hoping that this continues to be a thing for the Carolina Panthers. And what a way for Bryce Young to ingratiate himself to a brand new generation of Panther fans. I love it and think that it needs to happen.
Love to hear the growth already on the C3 spaces started by Panther Pickle, Diesel Skills. I really want to just congratulate so many people who have, I don't want to say ownership. Yeah, ownership. Who just, look, this is your show. This is your podcast. Look, is like I get up here and do it every week, not because I want it to be about me, just because I want to keep the conversation going. But do you know how inspirational it is to me to have people take the lead and the creative? You know what I'm saying? It's like I can only when I got hired at my job, and I've been there almost 14 years now. I remember the boss at one point saying, like, I've given all my good ideas. I've worked here for 30 years. I ran out of my ideas. We need more creative impulses. We need more voices. We need more. And it's just wonderful to hear that. I think another thing that's great about the spaces too is what we've just, like you said, offered another avenue. And everybody has something that they feel more comfortable with. You know, some people might feel comfortable tweeting. Some people might feel comfortable commenting on Facebook. Some people might listen on the podcast. Some people might call into the cat calls. Some people might go to
comment under the videos in the YouTube.
Friday free for all. And the spaces is another avenue. Again, this is not about us. It's about creating a fan conversation. So wonderful to see people chiming in. And thank you so much for even the monetary donations. What a sacrifice. What a generous contribution. But I tell you, man, when I see D's and these guys taking ownership of a discussion, it's really heartwarming for me. The number's 252-228-5098. We got three more calls, and then we'll get into our ice up pick. Somehow, some way, we find a way to go to Wednesday.
What up, boys? It's Nick from Seattle. It's time for a lovely night. I hope y'all ready for some shit because we're going to get into it. Greg, my man, you are setting yourself up for a tragic tragic downfall, my friend. I mean, I hear what you're saying to where you want to be wrong about Bryce, but why you got to be the contrarian, man? I mean, we're all excited about Bryce coming in. Just get on the damn train, man. Like, come on. You know you're going to eventually anyways. So quit bullshitting and just hop on the train. You know what I'm saying? Everybody else, y'all have been wonderful. I love hearing everybody gang up on Greg. It's real funny. I mean, Greg, I got nothing against you. You're a great dude. It's just really funny to hear you be on that Bryce is not going to be great train. Like, come on, man. We gave away the farm to get this boy.
That's not what I've said.
We haven't had hope like this since Cam was a rookie. Like,
people are misrepresenting me. It's not what I've said.
With both nuts and give him the world. Because what else we got, man? Like, we need something to be happy about. Tony, love what you're doing. Cody, you're awesome as always. CK, keep it up. Everybody, Greg, you're still my man. Everybody, keep pounding.
Let's
fucking go.
Yeah.
Keep pounding.
Keep pounding. But
Shout
once
out
again,
to me.
like I said, that's just a misrepresentation of what I'm saying. I'm not saying that Bryce Young is going to be garbage.
Shame on you, Lorne Michaels. Shame on you, NBC.
Like, I'm not saying he's going to be garbage. I just said I want to see him do well before I say he's amazing. That's it.
Tony, you also need the Game of Thrones job.
You know who that is? Does it? Do you guys know who that is? By the way,
Lorne Michaels. I know who Lorne Michaels
you know,
is.
but the voice. Want to hear it one more time?
Shame on you, Lorne Michaels. Shame on you, NBC. Shame on you.
No,
that's the great Eddie Murphy.
Wow.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, man, he's in the cactus outfit or whatever. Shame. This is a great bit on. He went on the news. I want a question for next week, callers. So if you're listening to this podcast still this late, or you're listening to it on the road on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, another place, great place to leave a review. Next week, I want to say this: is he brought up this with Cam, and I do think this is like we are wanted, we are hungry, we are thirsty for quarterback, and we need and want Bryce Young to be the GOAT. You know what I'm saying? We need that. But if we are wet blanket Greg, try to put ourselves into the body and the mindset of wet blanket Greg. I almost wonder who is the greater risk, Bryce Young or Cam Newton on day one? And there were so many more haters on Cam.
Yeah.
So I feel like this is if anything is Bryce Young is just getting a conversational pass in some ways because his personality isn't divisive. But I wonder who is really, how about this is what if Cam Newton and Bryce Young were in the same class? Who do you pick? Oh, way to fuck everybody up.
Everybody's picking Cam Newton in that class. Are you kidding me?
Not
same stats where Bryce doesn't win the national title.
In 2011, they weren't, man. They were about to pick. I'm picking Cam Newton because I'm in love with him.
But Cam Newton did get picked that year with a plethora of quarterbacks that were.
No, he didn't have a plethora. He had Jake Locker. Not a plethora. He had a lot of quarterbacks Jake Locker.
That everybody thought was going to be great. That 2011 draft class is amazing.
No, it's not. They had Jake Locker and
not
fucking
for quarterbacks.
I'm not saying the quarterbacks were amazing.
For other players.
I'm saying the draft class was amazing. Not saying the quarterbacks were, but all the quarterbacks going into there were looked terrible. At to be very good quarterbacks.
Blaine Gabbert and Jake Locker. There's two.
And Andy Dalton was one in there.
Nobody had ever even heard about him before the draft.
Okay.
All right. Who would you? All right, real quick, callers 252-228-5098. Next week, we want to hear this. And it'll be a training camp episode, right? Oh, it'll be the eve of training camp. So I'll be at Cody's house. Staying the night on my way to Spartanburg. Cody, Cam Newton, Bryce Young. Who you picking?
I mean, bro,
it's kind of it's unfair. I know it's unfair because because we've slept with Cam. We haven't slept with Bryce yet.
But again, you're asking me to pick between the guy who made me a Panthers fan versus the guy
who's the better prospect, though.
That's keeping me a Panthers fan. I mean, if I'm just being honest, Cam was a unicorn, dude.
Yeah, same. Same.
6'5", 245 pounds, ran a 4.5, won a Heisman.
Had the greatest college. You know what? If anything,
no
would
other
say
NFL talent on that Auburn offense.
I almost want. This is very tough for me to say, but Cam Newton's story might be one of the saddest NFL stories ever. It's like a Bo Jackson type story. It's like what he could have been rather than what he was. And that's why I wanted him to just have one more fucking season. One more good season. Because Cam is a what could have been story rather than what was.
Right.
Luke Kuechly has a better what was story than Cam.
A better what was story?
Right. Like is like what actually is like Cam is one of those players. He did a lot of great look. My favorite, like fave, secret fave other than Julius. Right. But the thing is Cam's story in my mind is one that doesn't have a happy ending. Just has a sad, it's like what it could have been. It's like if I would have not skipped 52 days of Latin 2 in high school, what could I have been? Could have been better, right? It was great. But man, it's like, damn, it's like Cam's story should be longer than it was. It should have been better.
Yeah. And we should have had better weapons for him. We should have had better offensive
Injury,
line
all of
for him.
There's like 9 different, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but I'm just saying it's a story that is it's like a stock that underperformed rather than overperformed.
Yep.
I don't know, man. It's just sad. I mean, to me, it's it's like my most uplifting story, but also so sad. Let's go to the next call. Did we hear this one already? Let's see.
What up, boys? It's Nick from Seattle.
Did we hear this
It's
one?
time for a lovely night. I hope y'all ready for some shit because we're going to get into it.
Was that you? Was that the one?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, we heard Nick. I didn't know if you had a second call.
Agree. What's going on, guys? It's Kyle, also known as 910 Panther fan.
Hey, well, Kyle. He's been on the free for all a bunch.
Great show so far, guys. I've seen on Twitter the talk about the football celebration at the end of the end zone. That is totally not disrespectful to Cam. That is making some kids stay at the stadium, and that does need to be a tradition that our Panther players continue to follow. Matt Corral, I hope that he sticks around and showcases a little bit, at least as a solid backup. He's my backup number one. But other than that, love the show. Love y'all. Have a great night. Keep pounding.
Thank you.
Keep pounding. I'll make one point to that as we move on. I get the appeal. I don't find it to be disrespectful to Cam if he did that. But if he's doing it as an homage to Cam, it just feels a bit, I guess, inauthentic. What is another word for that?
Lacks creativity.
Yeah, I mean, just
what if he did
think
the Superman celebration?
Biting his style.
Yeah. I just don't. I think it might hinder his own stamp
Legacy.
on the city,
Uniqueness, right?
Again, it doesn't have to be anything substantial. I mean, it could be just as simple as giving that ball away. It could be something else. I don't know, but I don't know that. I really want Bryce to just repeat what Cam did. Cam is a one of one, as we talked about. I think his legacy is his legacy, and I don't know that I'm like I don't think I want Bryce to just live in that shadow.
Well, I understand what you're saying, but going back to what Kyle just said, I mean, it's the fact that you're going to make a memory for a young fan that's gonna last forever. Like that in and of itself is bigger than Cam Newton.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Bryce Young.
Sure.
It is a collective thing. And if Bryce continues the tradition, well, it's no longer just a Cam Newton thing.
Right. It's a Carolina thing.
Yeah, you can credit Cam Newton with starting that trend.
Like the Lambeau leap.
Right.
Like, who was the first person that did?
Now
But
it
no, I
becomes something
understand
that's
too.
embedded in our culture.
The scarier thing for me though is the past is to be like, oh, look at how fucking giving Bryce Young is and how much he cares. And then everybody, when Cam was doing it, was like having some fucking conniption fit of why he was actually doing it. You know what I'm saying? Is so there's going to be something.
Yeah, but you can't change that though. That's
I think the most important part about this is how impactful Cam has been to Carolina. Is I'm sitting here talking about how sad his story is in so many ways, but regardless, he is Carolina's first superstar. He is the first icon. He's the first, super like you see him at the fucking nobody ran into Steve Smith in the Dallas airport and was like, oh shit, that's Steve Smith. They see Cam Newton, they're like, holy fuck. You know what I mean? He was
bigger than life.
Yeah. God, love
Cam. I agree with that.
Love Cam. Last go.
Hey, what's up? This is the real AP. Clap our hands 3 times and give a Ric Flair. Woo! Man, I'm excited about this season. I mean, shit, everything's pointing upwards, man. I mean, we got what seems to be a formidable lineup on both sides. Coaching, everything, man. I mean, and I've seen everything out there, like, the Falcons going to win the South. Saints, I mean, everything their take, man. But I mean, I really believe, man. I hope I'm right. I've got a lot of faith in this team. I just hope we have more than a 5-win season.
Yeah.
Let's go 9 at least. But so you think? But what do y'all think that Bryce is going to be trained this first season to be a game manager or a fucking slinging it, getting the shit done, man, like Cam did? I don't know, man. I don't care either way, man. I'm really stoked about it. I hope it works out, and I'm with Greg, and as G Baby says, 2-pound hammer. I was like with Cam, I was the same way. I was like, well, I'm gonna see what happens. Let me watch him first. Let's see what's going on, man. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Let's just see how it all plays out, man, because none of this shit really matters until Sundays.
Right.
That's what matters the most. Anyway, love you guys.
Love you, real AP.
C3 for life. Peace.
C3 for life. Shout out, real AP.
Great stuff, man. Great fan base. Fantastic things tonight. We've covered a lot. Cody, we're not going to go into the news too in depth. It's 12:17, and we haven't even hit the ice up picks. But
yeah,
there is one thing that needs to be mentioned. DeAndre Hopkins is not going to be a Carolina Panther.
Oh yeah, and dude, this pissed me off. And I'm a DeAndre Hopkins fan. Like, you chose Ryan Tannehill.
He chose $26 million.
That's what it was all about.
Yeah, I know. But when you're on, late in your career and you don't want to ring chase, like, I'm sorry, bro. Hey, maybe if you're a Titans fan, listen, maybe you're mad. The Titans ain't winning shit this year, dude. It's like, come on, what are we talking about? But yeah, DeAndre Hopkins to the Tennessee Titans. What was that deal? It's hard for me to read this shit sometimes. It is 2 years, $26 million, up to 32 with incentives.
Yeah, and then they have an out after 1 year. Like they don't have to have him in there. They don't have to have him in there after the first year. Like, I think they have a an easy out. Like I don't think it's a guarantee in the second year.
And Kevin, shut your ass up, bro. No cotton commanders. We're not listening to y'all, bro. Don't start no shit.
No, we're all putting all our hopes on Shi Smith. Fucking the other great fucking South Carolina guy, JC Horn.
Yeah, right.
You're listening to the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night into the wee hours of Wednesday morning, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. We're going to be in Spartanburg, South Carolina for a training camp next week. We'll be there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And we're going to be at Monster Subs Thursday, probably around 1:30, live broadcast. We're going to do a lot of CK and I and Cody and whoever. And look, is like we've got avenues to continue to do it virtually for people that can't make it, Greg, even if you have the day off, you don't got to be there or something like that, is we can still pin you in virtually and do the same stuff, but live from Monster Subs on Thursday, hanging out, getting to meet you guys and enduring the Spartanburg heat. We got one final segment, and that is the Ice Up segment. It's where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. Cody, let's run that bump.
Ice up, son. Ice up.
Like I said, longest running Panthers podcast. This is the longest running segment. Not only are we entering our 11th season weekly as a show, we've been more dynamic as the years have gone by, from the Friday free-for-all to the post-game show to the C3 News Beat. Go and check that out. We're going to be putting out continued content. But one thing we've been rocking and rolling with is our homage to Steve Smith, where we tell someone to ice up, toughen up to get it together. And it turns out, unfortunately, the fucking world needs to be iced up.
Yes,
it needs to be iced up. So ping pong. Where should we go? How do we start? I don't know. Who's ready to rock and roll? Yeah.
I can do this. And everybody prepare yourselves. Because these are
wild and wilder each week.
Well, they're painful. You're going to see some people that are in extreme levels of discomfort. Okay, nothing too crazy, but it's pretty crazy, man. We're gonna get into it. I don't know what argument was happening at this game. I'm assuming it's a baseball game, but I love the caption. He tore his ACL, MCL, BBL, CBS, NBC, and DVD. Watch this guy. He's gonna zoom in on him. The guy in the blue that's getting ready to walk downstairs. Yeah, he's totally not having a good time after this. So it looks like he's yelling at someone.
Oh, top at the top. I'm out of here, bitches.
Watch him.
Oh!
Somebody help him.
He done hurt himself. Somebody help him.
He did. That's exactly what he did. He hurt himself.
He done hurt himself. Somebody help him.
Somebody get him some ice.
Wait, one more time. Oh, his shit just goes out from underneath him.
He done hurt himself. Somebody
hurt himself. Somebody help him. I love that. That is that's hilarious to me. I guess when you're getting mad at people at a baseball game, don't let your knees give out on you halfway down the stairs, man. Ice up to them. And I've also got one more. And I'm going to go to it. Now, this one is even crazier. And don't let anyone ever tell you professional wrestling is fake. It might be scripted.
Oh, this is that bitch jumping off the fucking roof or whatever.
It might be scripted, but this damn sure isn't fake. So at some regional event.
Holy shit! Holy shit!
You think running backs are underpaid?
Oh
Yeah.
my God!
Watch it.
Oh man.
Oh, he missed the table.
Oh man. And
We're making sure he's okay. Totally. Oh man.
He's not okay.
No, he's
You
definitely
landed
not
on a
okay.
concrete floor.
Oh,
Dude is not good.
Look at all 9 people of this worried and concerned.
One more time. Watch the impact of this shit, dude.
Holy
Shattered elbow.
You know, I hadn't even watched the end of this. I just passed by this the whole week from this point. Look, him celebrating up top. Again, he's the man.
Oh,
his shoulder is fucking done.
Oh yeah, he is
never gonna use that shoulder again.
Okay.
Career over.
Oh man.
He's not okay.
That man needs to ice up the entire right side of his body for the next 10 years straight, dude. Wow. Hey, if you're going to jump off the side of a wall onto a table, hey, maybe don't miss, bro. Ice up, son.
Or put a pad
Ice up.
underneath. All right, I gotta run through mine real quick. The first one is this is funny to me. I don't know if this is an ice up or what. But this guy wrote on Reddit. He said, "I masturbate to one of my coworkers every day before work. Throw away for obvious reasons. I'm 20-something. I'm a 20-something man at a West Coast tech job. One of my coworkers is married, an Indian mom in her late 40s with a huge butt. I've always gotten a bit turned on her, but he says he feels guilty about the problem is that when he sees her first thing in the morning at work and she says good morning, and he's like, great morning. That one made me so ice up, homie. Quit whacking it off that much. This one to me, I don't know if this is an ice up. That this is tough. This is a tough read. And why are we only hearing about this 4 years later or whatever? February 2018, Kylie Murpet ripped out her own eyeballs and squished them with her hands during a meth-induced psychotic episode.
Oh gosh.
Yuck.
Who is this?
What?
Yeah, I mean, that's what it says. It says she had been awake for 48 hours snorting and injecting a concoction. First of all, it wasn't tainted with meth if you've been shooting it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
that was
tainted
deliberate.
with meth is you were shooting meth.
No.
What about this one? This high school in New York put in a blacktop turf. Somebody said, "Man, this guy said that their cleats are gonna melt during training camp." I thought that was wild. So ice up, literally. And this one right here, this is my top. Oh, this is one of my top ones. This girl's fly too, right? Lana Queen. It's not my number one ice up. This is my second to number one ice up right here. She says, Greetings from Greece, Volume 5. It's been so refreshing. Every day I spend time to research promising NFT altcoins. My personal, so she is somehow made herself, and if you look at her, she's got she's got 16.1. She's not over crazy with the followers. But my question is, what's more fake, NFTs or her boobs?
NFTs. I don't think there's anything more fake than NFTs.
Okay, all right. That's
no. Well, at least those are physical, right? Like they're real, technically.
Yeah, they are real.
They're way more real than me.
Santa Claus is fake. Those are real.
Right. All right. Good, great answer.
There's kids watching, and we probably shouldn't talk about Santa Claus like that.
Did you see? Actually, I forgot this one. Did you see Miranda Lambert? Can you hear that?
Number one on my list right there.
I can hear it.
These girls are worried about their selfie and not listening to the song. It's pissing me off a little bit.
This girl called out some mugs in her concert for taking a selfie at her concert. What a biatch. No wonder you got left for Gwen Stefani.
And they paid money to be there. So why are you bitching?
This one, I don't know who to ice up. Me, the internet, whatever. So this is the image I run across I'm like, it's onlyfans.com, Sierra X Rain. It says EMT firefighter at the top of this. So this is on the back. If you're listening on iTunes, TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, wherever you're at, it's a back of a car. It's a graphic that they put on the back windshield of a fucking minivan or a SUV. Freestyle. What is a freestyle? I don't even know a Ford Freestyle. I never even heard of it. So OnlyFans, and then the fucking internet goes nuts because of this bottom left corner where it's got a family, it's got a husband, a wife, kids, 3 kids, 2 dogs, a cat, and all this shit. And the internet went crazy because it was like, it's like, oh man, these kids are getting ragged on. They're getting the most bullied motherfuckers. But then the girl comments on this shit. And I don't think anybody's ragging on moms here. So anyway, I don't know if this is true, a hoax. I'm icing up myself. I told them, I was like, you need to get that car wrapped. Prevents STDs. Those are my ISO picks.
CK, you got one?
No, man, we're good.
Yeah, I don't have one either. I guess I can ice myself up real quick for not watching Righteous Gemstones earlier than I have. If you haven't seen
Oh, dude, it's so good.
It's a great show.
Such a good show, dude. I love it.
I'm into the first season right now.
Oh, dude, they're on season 3 right now.
Yeah,
dude,
I'm into the first season.
Danny McBride is a legend. I love that.
He's amazing. He really is.
Yeah,
he created that show. Yeah.
What about who hasn't had a chance to watch Quarterback?
I haven't. I've seen bits and pieces. I haven't actually seen it yet. Yeah,
it's a really good series. Honestly, I mean, number one, you're gonna come out with a great deal more respect for what Patrick Mahomes does. However, Kirk Cousins is going to be like maybe move up your list of like top quarterbacks in the league.
Like cool people.
I wouldn't say cool. Like I would just say the dude has like, I don't know. He's incredibly likable. And even though there are some bad things that happen like in games and whatnot, like the dude's like under pressure is like one of the calmest and coolest guys out there. I don't know. Like I think that I walked away from that series with a newfound respect for Patrick Mahomes and Kirk Cousins. And, Marcus Mariota, not so much.
You like that? It's the C3 Panthers podcast brought to you by CarolinaCatChronicles.com. Every Tuesday night into the wee hours of Wednesday morning, we chop up the latest Panthers news and opinions from the fan perspective. My show recommendation is Foundation. And Cody Lack, take us out of here.
C3 Nation, until next time, keep pounding.
Doctors take Field of Greens for their own health. Here's Dr. Ryan Green to explain.
We're like you, too much fast food and not enough exercise. That's why I take Field of Greens. The fruits and vegetables in Field of Greens support my heart, lungs, kidneys, and metabolism for weight loss. And Field of Greens promises your doctor will notice your improved health or your money back.
Get 15% off with promo code HEALTH at fieldofgreens.com. That's promo code HEALTH at fieldofgreens.com. Product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.